Chapter 327. Lin Jun could swear to the heavens that he had never seen such a miraculous scene before. Within his dantian, within the space where the dark star was, a small planet was formed. From the inside to the outside, the inner core, outer core, lower mantle, upper mantle, asthenosphere, and rock layer formed the core structure of the planet. Outside the planet, on the surface, lava was flowing, the crust was moving, and sunlight was falling from the sky. The wind was howling in the air, and water elements were rising, forming cumulonimbus clouds. Golden snakes danced wildly in the air, and the entire planet looked like the end of the world. This is the ancient underworld, Lin Jun muttered. When the planet was first formed, there would be no life, only surging and roaring earth, water, fire, and wind would wreak havoc. This time was called the ancient underworld. At this time, there were no mountains, continents, or oceans, let alone flowers and trees. It was impossible for humans to survive in such an environment. However, this was a necessary process for a planet to evolve. Lin Jun had lived in the interstellar space for a long time, and he had a lot of understanding about the evolution of a planet. He knew about this process, but he never dreamed that this scene would appear in his dantian. After scanning with his mental power, Lin Jun was very sure that this planet was real and not virtual. If a planet evolved from the ancient underworld, it would take countless years to reach the next stage, the ancient underworld. And from the ancient underworld to the ancient underworld, it would take countless years. Lin Jun didn't know if the dark star in his body would also take this evolution path, but he knew that he now had star power. Star power wasn't starlight, but the origin power of a planet. Although his dantian chi was still at the quasi-star realm, the dark star had star power. This star power was no different from the dantian chi star power. If it was compared to the star realm in his previous life, it would be much, much stronger. Lin Jun didn't care when the dark star would evolve. It had already evolved, because from another perspective, he had already advanced to the star realm. The biggest difference between the star realm and non-star realm was the possession of star power. A normal martial artist had to condense the star core in their dantian to possess star power, but Lin Jun now had it. He forcefully suppressed the ecstasy in his heart, took a deep breath, and let the star power in the dark star flow through his body. This power was fiercely released. At this moment, it was like the shock wave of a small nuclear explosion. Lin Jun was the core of the explosion, and the shock wave quickly spread out. The surrounding air formed a shock wave that pushed forward with a powerful force. First, it hit Lin Jun's head. He was currently sitting on the top floor of Xiaodong building, but it was not the rooftop. The roof above his head was being pushed by the airwaves, shooting straight into the clouds. Then, below him, the building that had stood for thousands of years without collapsing and had a 10th grade seismic resistance, suddenly collapsed with a loud bang. Rumble. The building was broken into pieces like a decaying skeleton. Dust flew everywhere and mixed with the heavy snow in the sky. It was a shocking sight. Lin Jun did not fall with the collapse of the building. He was still sitting cross-legged in the air. With star power, flying and teleporting had become instincts for him. Even if he did not use the lightning wings, even if he did not use his mental power, he could still fly and float as he wished. Rays of starlight flowed around his body. At this time, the sky was not bright yet, and he was like a star in the night sky. This process lasted for about an hour, and Lin Jun finally adapted to the power in his body. He opened his eyes slightly. As far as his vision could reach, he could even see birds circling in the sky above Bingqing. Those were the mutated birds that were attacking the city. Lin Jun raised his hand and waved at the flock of birds dozens of kilometers away. Gravity, a huge gravitational force shrouded over, and dozens of mutated birds flew over within the range of his palm. No, they did not fly over, but were being sucked over. The distance of dozens of kilometers was covered in less than 5 seconds. Those mutated birds struggled, but it was useless. Seeing that they were only a few hundred meters away from Lin Jun clenched his hand slightly. Puff, puff, puff. This flock of mutated geese, crows, and so on were squeezed into blood balls in the air. Phew! This is the real gravitational force, gravitational explosion. I may be the only person in the world who knows this move. This gravitational force gives me the feeling that I can even crush a Star Realm expert, let alone a few mutated birds. Lin Jun stood up slowly, feeling the surging power in his body. He could not help but roar to the sky. His voice echoed in the air for a long time. After the excitement in his heart was fully vented, Lin Jun finally calmed down. He took out his phone and looked at the situation in Bingsheng. A huge headline came into view. "See you in Bingsheng. The city will be breached today." Lin Jun had been cultivating for 2 days this time, and there was another upheaval in Bingsheng. Shen Lixing and a group of people wanted to join Alan and rejoin the Starry Sky sect. And Ning, Zhao Xiaoman, Feng Ni, Tang Wenbao, and other martial artists were firmly against joining. The two sides were arguing, and the mutated beasts were attacking the city more and more fiercely. The city guards and martial artists who participated in the battle were carried down like flowing water. There were fewer and fewer people, and the internal opinions were not unified. It seemed that there was no hope for Bingsheng. Lin Jun even saw the fierce argument between a Ning and Shen Lixing in a video. After a glance, Lin Jun put away his phone. He did not need to look anymore. Bingsheng was only 100 miles away, and he could go there. He did not take out the aircraft, but the thunder wings appeared on his back. Just as he was about to fly to Bingsheng, he felt that Xiaonuan had woken up in the Black Ghost. Lin Jun was shocked when he released Xiaonuan. Xiaonuan was nearly 5 meters long, and his height was about the same as Lin Jun's. His mane was like a burning flame, and the silly and cute aura of the past had faded away. He had become a big guy. There were even 2 small bumps on Xiaonuan's head, as if he was about to grow horns. He barked at Lin Jun cheerfully, and a strong smell of sulfur came out of his nostrils. He shook his head, and flashes of electricity came out of his hair. "What the hell are you, little fella? I know some species of galactic beast, but I've never seen one like you." Xiaonuan happily jumped around Lin Jun for a while. Lin Jun suddenly laughed. "Let's see if you can catch up with me this time. Let's go to Bingsheng. Let's see who gets there first." After saying that, Lin Jun suddenly teleported away. This time, he used his astral power to teleport. Lin Jun's previous teleportations were no more than 300 meters, but this time, he teleported 1,000 meters away. Lin Jun flapped his lightning wings and turned into a ray of light, heading straight for Bingsheng. Xiaonuan barked behind Lin Jun and then spread out his 4 claws, chasing after Lin Jun. "No, I will not accept your suggestion. We don't believe in the Starry Sky true God, so why should we join the Celestial sect?" And Ning looked at Shen Lixing in front of her, and her attitude was firm. "And Ning, please don't be impulsive. The situation in Bingsheng is not just your problem. It concerns the lives of tens of millions of people. Great God Alan has said that as long as everyone in Bingsheng announces that they have joined the Celestial sect will save Bingsheng from the abyss of suffering. Isn't that a good result?" Beside Ning, Zhao Xiaoman snorted coldly, "Humph. I don't believe their nonsense. If they can save us, why didn't they save us before? Why didn't they save us immediately? Seeing that we are in a critical situation, they want to take advantage of us. What's the point of saving us? If we don't join them, they will just stand by and do nothing. If that's the case, then it's best that we don't join this inhumane sect." Feng and I also said coldly, "I think so too. If you want to save us, then don't talk about such conditions. We don't care. If you're willing to join, then join us. We don't need him to save us. At most, we will break out of the encirclement." Shen Lixing said angrily, "Why don't you understand? Alan's attitude is very clear. If you want to join, then everyone must join. If one person doesn't join, then the Celestial sect will not send troops. I think their attitude is very good. Your Bingsheng is the only city in the world where everyone in the city has left the Celestial sect. If I were Alan, I might just stand by and watch. Now, is already considered merciful enough." Xi and Rahai, who came from Bingsheng, said, "If we don't join, what will you do?" Shun Lixing paused for a moment and then said softly, "You'd better not force me to make a choice. Now, we have no choice. As the commander-in-chief, I have to think of the tens of millions of people in Bingxing." Tang Wenbo sneered. "Save it. If it weren't for your wrong command, we wouldn't have ended up like this. We could have held on for another 10 days or half a month without a problem. That's all in the past. What's the point of talking about it now?" Shun Lixing's face turned red. He pointed to the city below and said, "Look at those mutated beasts. They are endless. How can we resist? It's only a matter of time before the city falls. You can't come up with a solution, and now you're denying my solution. Is this how you do things? Those who believe in the celestial sect can at least live. Can you let the people live?" And Ning took a deep breath and said, "Lin Zhan said he will come." "Lin Zhan, ha? Miss Ning, Mr. Lin Zhan is indeed a hero. But this is not a place for him to flaunt his heroism. What can he do now that he is here? At most, he can kill a few more mutated beasts. I, Shun Lixing, am not a 3-year-old kid. He is your sweetheart. Of course, you will side with him. But I won't." And Ning saw that this person could not be reasoned with. So she gave up and said, "I'll say the same thing. If we don't join, what are you going to do?" Shun Lixing sneered. "If that's the case, then I have to think of the people of Bingxing. You people only have 2 choices. One is to break out of Bingxing now. The other is, my men will catch you and force you to join the celestial sect. The future of Bingxing cannot be delayed by you." As he said that, he pointed to the outside of the city. The celestial sect's army was waiting for him 100 miles away. That was why he was confident. Chapter 328. 100 miles north of Bingxing was the end of the mutated beast tide. 300,000 elite clergymen were ready to go. Alan was on an aircraft, looking at the endless beast tide in front of him. He sighed in his heart. He was originally the Grand Master of Bingxing's Sophia Church, but today, the people of Bingxing hated him to the core. He had no choice but to do this. This matter was all Lin Zhan's fault. Lin Zhan killed his disciple, destroyed his church, and pushed him to the opposite side step by step. In the end, the entire Bingxing no longer had a place for the Vatican to survive. If Alan wanted to go home, he had to let the people of Bingxing believe in the church again. This time, he took advantage of the situation and was a little despicable, but he couldn't care less. Fortunately, Shun Lixing was a person who liked grandiose deeds. He wanted to do something stupid to make up for his reputation, so he hit it off with him. Now that Yin Huang's seclusion had reached a critical point, he might come out in a day or 2. But Alan couldn't wait. If Bingxing didn't take action now, it would fall. So he decided to bring the Vatican's troops over. The 300,000 people behind him were on 10,000 aircraft. These were the Vatican's elite troops. Yin Huang spent a lot of money to build them, almost emptying the church's savings over the years. Alan believed that with the powerful firepower of these 10,000 aircraft, they could tear a hole in the mutated beast tide and even enter the depths of the beast tide to kill 10,000 enemies. Of course, if anyone dared to go against the church, he would not hesitate to wipe them out. Alan had already made arrangements. He had also made an agreement with Shun Lixing. If they couldn't come to an agreement, these 300,000 elites would attack Bingxing in the name of eliminating the mutated beasts and eliminate all resistance forces. Alan was already prepared. He could advance 100 miles in 5 minutes. Now he just had to wait for news from Shun Lixing. Looking at Bingxing, which was 100 miles away, Alan couldn't wait to go home. When Ning heard Shun Lixing's words, a mocking smile appeared on her pretty face. "Commander, if you think your men can do this, then do it now." Behind Ning were Alice, Hansen, Zhao Xiaoman, Feng Ni, Tang Wenbo, Dolong, Xer Hai, Li Chengjing, Zhang Huai, Lu Qingfeng, Meng Dong, Zhao Yama Yao, Wei Li, and the others. Even experts like Yang Jianying from the Azure Sky Martial Arts Club were present. Some disciples of the Azure Sky Martial Arts Club, such as Brother Cheng, who had received help from Lin Zhan, followed behind Ning and stared at Shun Lixing's group. These people could be said to be the elite generation of Huaxia. At such a critical moment, they all chose to stand on Ning's side. In other words, they were on Lin Zhan's side, because a Ning represented Linjin here. Of course, to outsiders, they could say that they were on the side of justice. Shenlixing looked at this group of people with red eyes. He knew that if he couldn't deal with a Ning's group, then he wouldn't be able to achieve his goal today. As long as these people were eliminated, the citizens of Bingcheng would definitely betray them again under the pressure of the mutated beasts. He knew very well what the citizens needed. They just needed to live and live safely. When it came to life and death, there were always very few people with integrity. After looking at a Ning's pretty face for a while, Shenlixing said coldly, "Miss Ning, if that's the case, I'm very sorry. You're such a beautiful woman, but why did you become a thief? I originally hoped that you and I could have a good ending." "You're not worthy." And Ning didn't give the commander any face at all. She wasn't a gentle girl like Su Mingwe. And Ning had a strong personality, or rather, she would only show her gentleness in front of Linjin. No one else deserved to see it. Shenlixing quietly took out his mobile phone and sent a message to Alan's mobile phone. There was only one word in the message: action. After sending the message, Shenlixing didn't immediately make things difficult for Ning. Instead, he said with a straight face, "Miss Ning, don't think that you can threaten me, the commander, just because you're a group of martial artists. Let me tell you, what you're doing is selfish." Ning ignored this person. She could say whatever she wanted. Anyway, this group of martial artists was currently the strongest force in Bingcheng City. Even if Shenlixing was unhappy, he couldn't do anything to them. Soon, Shenlixing received a reply on his phone. He turned around and glanced at his phone. It was Alan's reply, "I'll be there in 5 minutes." After receiving Alan's reply, Shenlixing was suddenly very confident. No matter how Ning and her group resisted, once the church's army arrived, they would immediately collapse. By then, Bingcheng City would be completely under his control. In fact, Shenlixing had also received a promise from the church. As long as everyone in Bingcheng City believed in the church, then he could be the mayor of Bingcheng City Bay City and the commander of the city defense force. Being in charge of 2 city defense forces, Shenlixing felt that it wouldn't be a problem for him to inherit his family in the future. He stopped talking to Ning and sat down with a smile. "Very well. Since Miss Ning has made up her mind, then I won't say anything more. Let reality decide everything. Let the people of Bingcheng City make the final decision." Ning was a little surprised. Did Shenlixing have any other tricks up his sleeve? Ning didn't expect that Shenlixing, as the commander of the city defense force of Beijing Bay City, would reach such an agreement with the church. There was an awkward silence. Alan received Shenlixing's message and was suddenly energized. The time had finally come. Although some people had not been subdued, it didn't matter. Once the church's army arrived, all the resistance forces would collapse. It was a good opportunity to let these people know that God was not only blessed by God. The way to control them was to use both kindness and power. In the row of aircraft in front, other than Alan's aircraft, there were 9 other aircraft with a golden robe elder. The number of golden robe elders in the church had shrunk by 1/3. Most of them had died in the hands of Linjin, including Alan. These 10 golden robe elders were more than half of the church's power. Alan gave the order, "Brothers and sisters of the church, 100 miles to the south is Bingcheng of China. It is currently besieged by mutated beasts. This is God's punishment for their blasphemy. However, God is merciful. We can't just abandon them like this. We still have to save them. However, there are always some blasphemers who are stubborn and disrespectful to our allies and our church. These people have been bewitched by Linjin and have been completely brainwashed by Linjin. They are jackals of the same tribe as that heresy. Now, these people have become the obstacles to our church's conquest of Bingcheng." After a pause, Alan continued, "I am very clear about the people of Bingcheng. As long as we get rid of those who are leading the resistance and save their lives, they will definitely not resist our church. Everyone knows that His Majesty is currently in seclusion and is about to get married. Should we give His Majesty a generous gift before the wedding? What do you think we should do with those blasphemers? Kill, 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 kill them. Let them know the consequences of going against the church. No matter who they are, since they dare to go against the church's army, We will send them directly to their graves." Hearing the enthusiasm of the church's elders, Alan nodded with satisfaction. "All right, let's set off now. Remember, our goal this time is not to eliminate the mutated beasts. Don't get entangled with those things. We're going to deal with the blasphemers of Bingsheng. As long as we occupy Bingsheng, the mutated beasts will not be a problem." As the believers of the church agreed, Alan's aircraft took off first. Then, the aircraft followed closely behind and headed towards Bingsheng. The speed of the aircraft was very fast. 2 minutes later, a dense flock of mutated birds appeared in front of them. At the end of their line of sight, they could roughly see the walls of Bingsheng. They could see Bingsheng, and Bingsheng could also see them. And Ning and the rest saw a black dot in the distant sky through the binoculars. That is the church's aircraft." Shun Lixing smiled and nodded. He ordered the city guards behind him, "Tell the city guards at the north gate not to open fire on the church's army. Let them enter Bingsheng. I will wait for them here." These few days, Shun Lixing had been secretly making arrangements. The city guards at the north gate had been replaced with his men. "Shun Lixing, what are you doing? Don't forget that you are a Chinese and the commander-in-chief of the battle. How dare you collude with the church to go against us?" Shun Lixing smiled coldly. "Don't say collusion. If you had been more sensible and agreed to my request earlier, they wouldn't have shown up at all. This is called prevention is better than cure. Now it seems that I was right to guard against you. I am warning you not to be ungrateful. The church's army is about to enter the city. By then, all resistance will be in vain. If you want to attack me, you can try." After Shun Lixing finished speaking, a group of people walked out from behind him. The two people in the front flung their black robes aside, revealing the golden robes underneath. They were the elders of the church. Among Ning's group, only Yang Jianying had reached the quasi-star state. The rest were basically gods of war. None of them had even reached the quasi-star state. It was indeed difficult to deal with two quasi-star state experts. Besides, gods of war like Li Wanfeng and Zhao Xiqing from Bingcheng follow behind Shun Lixing, staring coldly at Ning's group. Under such circumstances, it was impossible to take down Shun Lixing quickly. And Ning's side was even at a disadvantage. Shun Lixing laughed and suddenly picked up a loudspeaker to shout. At the same time, he asked someone to broadcast it live on the internet. People of Bingsheng, the great church of the starry sky has come to our rescue. The mutant beast attack is about to end. I now announce that those who are willing to join the church of the church can live and continue to live in Bingsheng. Those who are unwilling to join, please leave within 8 hours. Otherwise, you will be regarded as heretics and killed by the church of the church. As soon as Shun Lixing shouted, the Star Sky cult's aircraft engaged the mutant beasts. The firepower of this new force was extremely fierce. In an instant, a large number of mutant birds were wiped out, and they quickly flew towards Ice City. Alan looked at the approaching Ice City and was extremely excited. The people who had demolished his church and burned the flag of the church did not expect that he, Alan, would come back to settle the score. Chapter 329. Lin Jun had been here for a while. He was originally a little depressed. This time, he had lost the race with Xiaowan. Xiaowan's speed seemed to have no limit. This kind of galactic beast that could cross the Milky Way could not be judged with common sense. However, Lin Jun's attention was quickly attracted by the situation in Bingsheng. This was because he saw 10,000 aircraft from the God sect. Lin Jun immediately deduced the God sect's intention. What were they trying to do by deploying so many troops here, but not helping the people in Bingsheng? Their intention was self-evident. They definitely wanted to deal with the people in Bingsheng who did not obey the God sect. The God sect situation was deteriorating day by day. These 10,000 aircraft were definitely the God sect's assets. Lin Jun immediately had an idea about this army. As long as these guys were killed, the God sect would collapse immediately. At the very least, he would no longer have the ability to order other countries around. Lin Jun brought Xiaowan to a stop and prepared to slowly approach the aircraft formation. However, on the way, Lin Jun felt that Xiaowan seemed to be very different. Ever since he swallowed the quasi-SSS ranked Devil Dragon's corpse, Xiaonuan's body had not only become a lot bigger, but his aura had also become more majestic. Along the way, when he passed by the mutated beasts, those mutated beasts actually lowered their heads and did not dare to approach Xiaonuan at all. Xiaonuan also walked past the mutated beasts arrogantly, as if the mutated beasts below were just a group of ants. Could it be? Lin Zhen's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that after Xiaonuan had leveled up, he had the aura of a high-level mutated beast, causing these low-level mutated beasts to automatically submit to him? If that was the case, then the attack of the mutated beasts in Bingsheng would not be too difficult to deal with. Because Xiaonuan was by his side, the mutated beasts did not dare to approach Lin Zhen. Therefore, he was basically unimpeded all the way to the God Sect's army until the army began to move towards Bingsheng. The mutant birds at the edge of the battlefield started to attack the army of the God Sect, but they were all bombarded by the flying machines. Although these aircrafts were not enough to clear out all the mutant beasts, it was not a problem for them to break into Ice City. We must not let them enter Bingsheng. Not only can we not let them enter Bingsheng, but we also have to think of a way to make the people disappointed in the denomination again. The video of the denomination attacking the mutated beasts will definitely be broadcasted worldwide. This is their way of winning the hearts of the people. I have to destroy it. Lin Zhen thought of a way. He raised his hand and sucked a huge golden eagle from the group of mutated birds. This golden eagle had reached the quasi-SS level. It was almost the king of the mutant birds. It was the overlord of the sky. But in front of Lin Zhen, who now had star power, the golden eagle had no power to resist at all. It was almost directly pulled into Lin Zhen's hand, and then easily crushed to death. After killing the golden eagle, Lin Zhen directly hung the two huge wings of the golden eagle on the thunder wings. The thunder wings were constantly being nourished by Lin Zhen. Each wing was 5 meters long. When the golden eagle's wings were put on, there was basically no big flaw. He cut open the belly of the golden eagle and put on a layer of skin. If one did not look closely, no one would be able to see that there was actually a person inside the golden eagle. Only Xiaonuan happily jumped around Lin Zhen. It and Lin Zhen were connected by blood. It could recognize Lin Zhen even if he turned into ashes. Lin Zhen called Xiaonuan to his side and whispered something. Xiaonuan basically understood. Go, this time it's up to you. As long as this matter is successful, I will find you a bitch in the future. Maybe you don't like dogs. Xiaonuan happily went and gathered a large group of mutated birds in a moment. Crows, sparrows, swallows, wild ducks, swans, red-crowned cranes, eagles. Of course, these birds were no longer beneficial birds. They were all demonic beasts that ate humans. There were hundreds of thousands of them. Lin Zhen slightly channeled his star power, causing the flame power in the dark star to appear. This was because there was Xiaonuan's aura in it. When the mutated birds felt Lin Zhen's aura, they did not attack. Instead, they circled around Lin Zhen in awe, as if this huge golden eagle was their king. When the Divine Sect's aircraft flew more than 20 miles away from Bingsheng, Lin Zhen made his move. This distance was just right. The people in Bingsheng could see the battle in the distant sky, but they could not see it clearly. Lin Zhen gave an order to Xiaonuan, go. Xiaonuan jumped into the air with 4 claws and let out a roar that shook the sky. This was the first time Lin Zhen heard Xiaonuan's roar. Its aura was strong, and it resounded through the sky. This was the battle order given by the Beast King, and the target was the Divine Sect's aircraft. The flock of mutant birds beside Lin Zhen was the first batch of troops. They flew up into the sky, blotting out the sun as they charged towards the Heavenly Sect's army. Lin Zhen also flapped his lightning wings. He really looked like a huge golden eagle. He mixed in with a group of mutated birds and rushed towards the Divine Sect's aircraft. He wanted to give these people a big surprise. Alan's troops only had a minute to enter Bingsheng, but they did not expect to encounter the crazy counterattack of the mutated beasts here. Alan methodically gave the battle order, everyone pay attention. There's a large group of mutated birds in front. They are probably preparing to attack Bingsheng and have been attracted by us. There are about 300,000 to 500,000 of them. Cover them with fire immediately. Don't be stingy with your ammunition. Destroy this wave and we will be able to enter the city." After receiving Alan's order, the row of aircraft in front immediately set up their machine guns and started to fire at the group of mutated birds. When the earth-shattering sound of the cannons rang out, the people in Bingsheng did not need to watch the live broadcast. They could see the battle in the distant sky directly. Shenlixing yelled, "Look, look! This is our divine sect's reinforcements. They are so loyal. Your whole city has withdrawn from the divine sect, and they have taken the initiative to come and save you. If you're not grateful, then you're worse than pigs and dogs." Looking at the flames in the distant sky, some people in Bingsheng wavered. After all, they could not see any hope of breaking out of the encirclement. If the divine sect could really save them from the abyss of suffering, then perhaps joining the divine sect would not be unacceptable. At least their safety would be guaranteed. Ning was a little anxious. Lin Jun told her that he would be here soon. This was where Ning's greatest confidence came from. But now, Lin Jun had not appeared, and the divine sect's people had arrived first. If the divine sect's people really destroyed a large number of mutated beasts, then it was normal for the people in Bingsheng to waver again. Out of her trust in Lin Jun, and also out of her hatred for the divine sect, and Ning snorted and said, "Is the divine sect sure to be able to save Bingsheng from the crisis? I don't think so. It's better not to be destroyed by the mutated beasts halfway." Shenlixing glanced at Ning and said, "Miss Ning, don't be so stubborn. It's only 20 miles. Can't those aircraft come over? Don't worry. I promise you that in less than 3 minutes, the divine sect's army will land here. But when that time comes, you people will be in trouble." Before Shenlixing could finish his words, a ball of fire suddenly exploded in the distant sky. An aircraft had crashed. Seeing Ning and the rest's happy faces, Shenlixing curled his lips in disdain and said, "Don't be childish. The divine sect sent 10,000 aircraft. Losing one is nothing. How can there be no losses in war? How many people have we lost in Bingsheng?" Boom, boom, boom. 3 more fireballs exploded in the air. Shenlixing's expression changed. "I didn't expect the mutated birds to be so aggressive. But it's nothing. The loss of 4 10,000s is not even a drop in the ocean." Boom, 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 boom. One after another, fireballs exploded in the sky like fireworks. Shenlixing's face became more and more ugly. What's going on? Why are the pilots of the divine sect so weak? With so many flying machines, how could those mutant birds rush over if they were to fire so intensively? In such a short time, we actually lost over 30 flying machines. When Great Divine Sect Alan arrives, I will definitely tell him about those incompetent pilots. But the development of the situation was getting more and more out of Shenlixing's expectations. Aircraft crashed one after another, and fireballs exploded one after another. In less than 20 seconds, the Divine Sect had lost over 100 aircraft. Not only did he not understand, but Alan was also a little anxious at this moment. "Ninth formation, what are you doing? Don't tell me you've collided with each other. The mutated birds are not that capable to destroy 100 aircraft in such a short time." 10,000 aircraft were divided into 10 formations, and each formation had 1,000 aircraft. So far, the ninth formation had suffered the most losses. The leader of the ninth formation was also a Star Realm expert, and he answered Alan anxiously. "Elder Alan, it's not our problem. A golden eagle has appeared in the flock of mutated birds. That golden eagle is too fast, and it has mastered the power of the elements. God, it's here again." Boom, boom, boom. 7 or 8 more fireballs exploded, and the sound made Alan anxious. "Idiot, you are pigs. Fire as hard as you can. No matter how strong a golden eagle is, it's only a quasi-SS mutated bird at most. If you can't even deal with a formation, then you deserve to die." "Yes, sir. We've been firing, but we can't hit it at all. That golden eagle is too fast. It seems to be able to teleport." As soon as this came out, Alan's nose was almost crooked. A bird could actually teleport? The leader of the ninth formation was simply trying to shirk responsibility and coax him like a 3-year-old child. Alan grabbed the walkie-talkie and roared into it. "Teleport your mother. If you talk nonsense again, be careful." This golden eagle has a shotgun." Before Alan could finish his words, the leader of the ninth formation suddenly said something that almost made him angry. What was a shotgun? Could this bird shoot? Or was it that indescribable part of the bird? Just as he was about to curse, a loud explosion came from the walkie-talkie, and then the communication channel was turbulent. Chapter 330. Alan suddenly had a bad premonition as he listened to the clattering noises coming from the walkie-talkie. Could it be that an SS rank or even higher mutated bird had appeared in Bingsheng? If that was the case, then things would be a little scary. An SS rank mutated tiger could control billions of mutated beasts to besiege Bingsheng. If there was such a powerful mutated bird, then the Godsek's army might suffer a huge loss. However, Alan felt that this was unlikely. A quasi-SS rank was almost the limit on the land. Only a few quasi-SS rank mutated beasts had the hope of advancing to SS rank. Otherwise, the human race would have been wiped out long ago. How could they have survived until today? It was already very rare for an SS rank golden eagle to appear. How could there be an SS rank golden eagle? Moreover, even if it was an SS rank golden eagle, it was impossible for it to destroy the Godsek's army. At worst, he would leave the aircraft with a few Star Realm elders and kill the golden eagle. Alan immediately ordered 10th formation, go, and support 9th formation immediately. Quickly figure out the situation and report to me. It was very difficult for the Godsek's army to advance now. More and more mutated birds had gone crazy and attacked the Godsek's army wave after wave. Every formation had suffered losses. However, Alan was confident that there would be no more accidents. After 1 minute and 30 seconds, they would definitely arrive at Bingsheng. The sound of explosions continued to ring out. At this time, an emergency call suddenly came from the walkie-talkie. "Elder Alan, it's not good. I found a quasi-SSS rank mutated beast here." "What nonsense are you talking about?" "The strongest mutated beast in Bingsheng is the enemy of 10,000. That's only SS rank. Where did this quasi-SSS rank come from? Is that still a mutated beast that can be found on land?" "I'm definitely not lying. That's a lion that can fly. Its mouth is too big. It swallowed 10 aircraft in one gulp." Bullsh asterisk T. Even a whale wouldn't swallow 10 aircraft in one gulp. "Is that still a lion?" It's coming. I'm going to be eaten by it. Fire fiercely for me." Rumble. The voice from 7th formation disappeared. The Star Realm expert had lost contact just like that. Alan couldn't help but wipe the sweat off his forehead. Today was really strange. How could there be such a powerful, mutated beast? The sound of explosions was incessant. The 7th Division had just lost contact, and the 10th Division began to cry and howl again, saying that the mutant golden eagle was too terrifying and they could no longer hold on. Alan looked at his command screen. The originally dense light spots on it were all the flying machines of the church, but now it seemed that the light spots were a lot thinner. Alan was finally a little scared. He immediately ordered, "All troops, don't fight. Gather into a dense formation and charge forward quickly." After receiving Alan's order, the aircraft automatically gathered. They did not want to fight with the mutated birds and wanted to quickly rush to Ice City. It had to be said that this was a wrong decision. Although many of the aircraft would be destroyed by the mutant birds one by one, most of the aircraft would still be able to escape. AI Lu had forgotten that there were still 2 powerful mutant birds and mutant beasts here. Lin Jun disguised himself as a golden eagle and was having a great time killing in the sky. These aircraft were too weak for the current Lin Jun. Although his Dantian Chi had not reached the level of the Star Realm, his Dark Star was already able to provide him with star power. He could already be considered a Star Realm expert. Lin Jun held the scorching light sacred spear in his hand, which was used for close combat. Every time an aircraft passed by him, he would shoot out an energy ball and destroy it. The only thing that annoyed Lin Jun was that these flying machines were coming one after another, and the killing speed was too slow. If this continued, some of the flying machines would definitely escape into Ice City. Lin Jun couldn't immediately enter Ice City to chase after them. What he needed to do now was to make people completely lose confidence in the church. But at this moment, these aircraft suddenly gathered. Lin Jun was overjoyed when he saw this. This was truly a case of wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search and finding it without any effort. In front of him, there was a fleet of more than 100 aircrafts. They were in a formation and were flying toward him quickly. The aircrafts in front of him were still firing bullets. Lin Jun found an angle and released a gravitational force towards the group of aircraft. After Lin Jun's dark star condensed into a solid entity, the gravitational force was ridiculously strong. Dozens of flying machines immediately accelerated under the influence of the gravitational force and flew over quickly. As the aircraft in front sped up, the ones behind also sped up to avoid being left behind. Lin Jun released the gravitational force again and again at this time, causing the aircraft to slow down and collide with the ones behind. Large amounts of fireballs exploded in the air, and only a few of the more than 100 aircraft survived. They were basically wiped out. Another group of aircraft flew by from the left, and Lin Jun teleported in front of them. With a wave of his spear, he unleashed lightning kill. A beam of energy pierced through the sky, destroying dozens of aircraft like a stick of candied haws. Seeing these aircraft spinning and falling, Lin Jun was secretly pleased. He flapped his wings and hid in the dense flock of birds, continuing to look for the next target. As for the aircraft that were left alone, Lin Jun did not need to care about them. The mutant birds in the sky were not to be trifled with, and the aircraft that were left alone would have a hard time surviving. Compared to Lin Jun, Xiaowan's killing speed was not slow at all. Xiaowan's stomach was like a bottomless pit. It had two ways of eating. One was by biting, and the other was by swallowing. Biting allowed it to absorb energy, which was how it usually ate. However, swallowing was different. It was its natural ability to swallow. When it was just born, it could easily swallow anything below the star realm. Now that it had broken through a few times, Xiaowan was no longer an infant galactic beast, but an infant galactic beast. An infant galactic beast was extremely terrifying. Its natural ability to swallow was like a bottomless pit, and it did not absorb any nutrients. Whether it was humans, animals, mud, wood, metal, or even elements, it could swallow them all in one gulp and spit them out as waste. It could be said that this was an extremely wasteful method, but it was also Xiaowan's strongest killing weapon in a group battle. Numerous aircraft were swallowed and spat out, and each time, at least a dozen aircraft would be destroyed. As long as the formation of the aircraft was destroyed, the lone aircraft would fall into the sea of mutant birds and be torn apart. In less than 2 minutes, Lin Jun and Xiaowan had destroyed at least 4,000 aircraft, and the mutant birds had also destroyed more than 1,000 aircraft. Out of the tens of thousands of aircraft, there were less than 5,000 aircraft left. They had lost more than half. On the other side of Bing City, the people who saw this scene were stunned. And Ning and the rest were happy that the people of Bing City had been eliminated, but they were also secretly worried about the fate of Bing City. Although they were happy that the sect had been defeated, the mutant beasts were so powerful. Could the people of Bing City survive? However, compared to Shun Lixing's people, and Ning and the rest were in a much better situation. Shun Lixing's hands were in his hair as he looked at the sky in disbelief. It's over. The people of Bing City are finished. It's less than 30 miles away, and they have not arrived yet. How can the mutant beasts be so terrifying? Zhao Xiaoman did not think so much and snorted. What does this mean? It means that the people of Bing City are too incompetent. We have been fighting against the mutant beasts for a month and have seen all kinds of situations. Although there are many mutant birds, they are not invincible. The tens of thousands of aircraft of Bing City were destroyed by a flock of mutant birds. How can we expect such people to save us? It's already good enough that we don't go and save them. That's right. With such strength, how can they call themselves saviors? Shun Lixing, you still want us to join the sect? Aren't you cheating us? Maybe you took some benefits from them and went against your conscience. It's all thanks to my firm stand. If I had been instigated by Shun Lixing, I would have been consigned to eternal damnation. Now that the whole country is against the denomination, the people of Bing City will not go back on our words. Now everyone can see clearly that the denomination is not a savior. We will not bother with them anymore. That's right. We are against the sect. Ask them to get out of Bing City. We will protect our own home. Shen Lixing's face flushed red as the people on the scene began to talk amongst themselves. That's enough. I'm still your commander-in-chief. The situation here is being broadcasted live to the whole country. Are you all planning to rebel? Shen Lixing shouted, and the crowd quieted down. Yes, if Shen Lixing did not mention the sect, he was indeed the commander-in-chief. Even if they were dissatisfied with him, and Ning and the others would still be in the wrong if they rebelled against him. In the end, Ning and the others still lacked a backbone. Ning was also supported by some people, but these people mostly supported him because of Lin Jun. Ning was not bad, but he did not have the ability to convince people like Lin Jun. If only Lin Jun was here. Ning could not help but say, yes, if Brother Lin was here, we wouldn't care about the commander-in-chief. Brother Lin would definitely lead us to defeat the mutant beasts. Zhao Xiaoman added. Shen Lixing was ridiculed and could not help but raise his head in anger. Enough. Stop talking about Lin Jun. Lin Jun. What can Lin Jun do if he is here? The tens of thousands of aircraft from the sect will not be able to reach Bing City. There is no hope for Bing City. How do you know that Brother Lin is not capable? Brother Lin had told Ning that he will be coming. Bing City still has hope. Oomph. Childish. No one can change this situation. Even if Lin Jun dares to come, if he can save Bing City, I will. What do you want? Zhao Xiaoman did not give up. Chapter 331. While they were arguing, the battle in the sky in the distance was coming to an end. After the formation of the aircraft, Lin Jun and Xiao Wan killed them in all directions and lost more than half of them. Only then did Alan realize that this could not go on. Therefore, the remaining 1,000 aircraft broke up and began to escape in all directions. In this way, a large group of mutated birds got the chance and began to chase after the aircraft. In the end, less than 300 aircraft were able to successfully escape the Ice City area, and the rest were completely annihilated. Lin Jun and Xiao Wan did not continue to stare at the ordinary aircraft. They were staring at the Black Wraith where Alan was. Xiao Wan drove a large group of birds and began to chase after Alan's aircraft. Although the Black Wraith was fast, it could not be fast when there were mutated birds everywhere. Alan tried to break out of the encirclement several times, but he was intercepted by the suicidal attacks of the mutated birds. Boom, boom. 2 huge vultures collided with the Black Wraith, which had just increased its speed a little and slowed it down again. There was a snowflake on the control panel of the aircraft, and the alarm kept ringing. The Black Wraith was about to crash. Alan slammed his fist on the control panel and said, "What the F*** CK? Are these mutated birds crazy?" Seeing that the aircraft was about to collapse, Alan simply opened the hatch and rushed out. As a star-ranking expert, Alan was confident that he could escape from the siege of the mutated beasts, although it would not be easy. Just as he rushed out of the hatch, he saw a large group of mutated birds flying over from behind. In the middle of the group of mutated birds, the huge golden eagle made his eyelids twitch, and a bad premonition surged in his heart. The bird's flying movements seemed a little strange. Lin Jun did not need to hide at this time. There were no more aircraft in the surrounding sky, and the situation here would not be seen by anyone. His body stood up. Lin Jun tore off the disguise on his face and looked at Alan in front of him. When Alan saw Lin Jun's face, he took a deep breath. Lin Jun. Great God, Alan. Speaking of which, we have a lot of connections, but today we have the opportunity to meet face to face. I have made you wait for a long time. You are actually with the mutated beasts. Lin Jun, how dare you? Alan looked at the mutated birds circling around, but didn't dare to approach Lin Jun. He immediately put a big hat on Lin Jun. Lin Jun couldn't help but laugh. Alan, you really can't see the situation clearly. Now you actually have the mind to accuse me of crimes. I even plan to overthrow your divine sect. No matter how many crimes you accuse me of, it's the same. No, that's not the same. You're with a mutated beast. That's a crime against humanity. Alan shook his head. Oh, so it's such a big crime. It seems I can't let you leak this information. Lin Jun picked up the raging light spear. Do you think you can keep me here? Alan's expression did not change. How do you know if you don't try? Before Lin Jun's voice fell, he suddenly teleported behind Aaron. Spear backstab. Alan's weapon was a sword, and he waved his long sword to block. Clang! The long sword flew out, completely unable to block Lin Jun's backstab. His abdomen was pierced by the spear. This is impossible. Alan looked at the spear that came out of his abdomen in disbelief. He didn't believe that he couldn't even block Lin Jun's attack. Nothing is impossible. Die. The star power in Lin Jun's dark star exploded, directly twisting Alan's body into pieces. Only when Alan died did he know that Lin Jun was actually a Star Realm expert. However, Lin Jun's Star Realm was different from others. He was at the Dark Star Realm, and everyone cultivated Dantian Chi. He had not reached the Star Realm yet, so from the outside, he was still a quasi-Star Realm expert. After killing Alan with a single shot, Lin Jun's position on the meteor list shot up. Alan was ranked 9th on the meteor list and was immediately replaced by Lin Jun. Lin Jun took Alan's spatial ring and looked at the surrounding sky. The Divine Sex army had completely collapsed, and very few people had escaped. It didn't matter anymore. Looking down, Lin Jun could even find the direction of 10,000 men's enemy. It was located in the west of Ice City, where high-level mutated beasts were more concentrated. However, Lin Jun didn't want to deal with 10,000 men's enemy for the time being. He wanted to see the current situation in Ice City first. He simply let Xiao Wan stay here, and Lin Jun went to Ice City alone. Above the high clouds, there was a cold airflow. As the airflow went up, the air became thinner. They continued to go up until they were out of the atmosphere. It was no longer the sky, but the deep and dark universe. The wreckage of a satellite that was launched during the Christian calendar was floating quietly in the universe. This thing was no longer pulled into the atmosphere by the Earth's gravity. Instead, it followed the Earth's rotation and followed its orbit, floating here for a long time. On the surface of the satellite, there was a 5-starred red flag pattern. It seemed to be called Heavenly Palace 3 1,000 years ago, but it was abandoned now. At this moment, 2 people were sitting cross-legged on the satellite. Both of them wore something similar to a pair of spectacles on one of their eyes. The spectacles could be adjusted to allow them to see the situation in Ice City. One was an old man, and the other was a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was wearing a long robe, and the old man was wearing a simple tang suit. In the vision of the 2 people, the situation of Lin Jun killing Alan was clearly presented, including the fact that the city was besieged by mutated beasts. The middle-aged man said to the old man, "Mr. B. Huai, what do you think of this Lin Jun?" The old man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he held a small metal wine jug and took a sip of wine. Then he slowly closed the jug and said after a long time, "The younger generation will surpass us in time. Hee, you can't be saying this because you think that Lin Jun is your great-grandson-in-law, right?" The middle-aged man laughed and teased. "Chun Feng Lai, do you think that I, Nb Huai, am the kind of person who lies through his teeth? This kid is really good. And Ning is with him, so I'm still very relieved. So you can sit back and relax now. You don't have to worry about whether or not to rescue Ice City." That's right. The warriors on the Heavenly Star list keep each other in check and balance. They don't care about mortal affairs. Among the 18 people on the Heavenly Star list, our Huaxia occupies 4 positions, which is more than any other country. If we rashly intervene, it will definitely cause the dissatisfaction of the Heavenly Star list of other countries. As for the matter of Ice City, I've always had a headache. Fortunately, Lin Jun, this little guy, has appeared, and I've been relieved of one of my worries. Chen Fenglai nodded, "That's right. When Yin Xie made this rule, the Heavenly Star list of other countries also opposed it, but in the end, they still implemented it. No matter if it's a war, a disaster, or anything else, the Heavenly Star list is not allowed to intervene unless it involves the life and death of mankind. Therefore, we can only watch on. We can't do anything about it." "That's right. I remember that you wanted to intervene in the Zephyr Martial Arts School's matters, but now you can't do it. Who asked you to be ranked 17th on the Heavenly Star list?" And Bi Huai smiled. "I think you can't let go of the matters of the mortal world. I'm afraid that Ran doesn't even know about the existence of your great-grandfather. Even if you save her in Bingsheng, no one will appreciate it. Chen Fenlai immediately retaliated. He was over 60 years old this year, but he was the youngest person on the Heavenly Star list. Even Bi Huai, who was 175 years old, was considered young on the Heavenly Star list. Young people had more common topics to talk about, and Bi Huai didn't want to stay with those old antiques. Instead, he preferred to cultivate with Chen Fenlai. The two laughed and chatted for a while. Chen Fenlai's expression turned serious. Mr. N, do you think Lin Jun has a chance to be ranked on the Heavenly Star list? And Bi Huai thought for a moment. The chances are high, but it may be difficult in the short term. At least for now, among the rising stars of China, Jin Qichao, the founder of the Northwest Martial Arts School, and Shang Jin, the founder of the Azure Martial Arts School, are also geniuses. They are ranked second and third on the Dark Star list respectively. They seem to have a better chance. Chen Fenlai nodded. You're right, but I've watched Lin Jin grow up. Even I can't see through this kid's potential. What? Are you still thinking about the Bermuda matter? And Bi Huai asked. Of course I am. But Mr. Yin Chia is elusive, and Ching Su has been missing for many years. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for the two of us to do anything in the Bermuda matter. I advise you to give up on Lin Jun for the time being. Although Lin Jun is indeed worth looking forward to, he's in a lot of trouble right now. It's hard to say if he can get past the Vatican. Chen Fenlai glanced at Bi Huai. Do you think Yin Huang can still cause trouble for Lin Jun? Of course it's possible. The Holy Light suit and Starry Sky crown left behind by Karen, the first holy child of the Star Sky sect, are not simple, especially the Starry Sky crown. I once heard from Mr. Yin Chia that he once fought against Karen and lost because she was wearing the Starry Sky crown. Of course, Yin Chia won the second challenge, so Karen left the Starry Sky crown in the Holy See. If Yin Huang can really get the full power of the Starry Sky crown, Lin Jun can't win. Hearing Bi Huai mention this, Chen Fenlai nodded. I've heard about it too. I'm not in a hurry. It's just that I've been feeling an inexplicable palpitation lately, as if something uncontrollable is about to happen. Haha, you just reached the standard. It's just a feeling. We seniors on the Heavenly Star list have had this feeling for a long time. Mr. Yinchia even made a prediction that the Earth will undergo a drastic change in about 3 years. Oh, he said something like that? That means the Earth is in danger. Chen Fenlia's expression changed. Chapter 332. Looking at the exploding fireball in the distance, Shun Lixing gripped his phone with a pained expression. It's over. The church's flying machine has been completely destroyed. I can't even get through to Alan's phone. He's probably dead. This scene was broadcasted on the World Channel. Although the destruction of the church's troops was satisfying, it made people even more worried about the fate of Bingsheng. Look, there's someone rushing over there. A city guard pointed into the distance and shouted, immediately attracting everyone's attention. Everyone looked in that direction and saw a person fighting with mutated beasts in the distance. He was rushing over quickly. Oh my God, who is that? He's so fierce. He charged in alone. He's at least a Star Realm expert, or even a Stars ranking expert. It looks like Lin Jun, and Ning was the first to recognize the figure of her sweetheart. Sure enough, Lin Jun quickly charged out of the encirclement of the mutated beasts and teleported to the top of Bingsheng's wall. And Ning smiled at Lin Jun. She missed Lin Jun very much after not seeing him for a while. However, there were so many people here, so Ning could only smile at him. Lin Jun walked over and held in Ning's hand. You've worked hard these days. It's okay. Now that you're back, it's not hard anymore. Brother Lin, you're finally back. If you didn't come back, we would have been bullied to death. Many people greeted Lin Jun one by one, but Zhao Xiaoman ignored them and complained about Shun Lixing to Lin Jun. Seeing so many familiar faces, Lin Jun was very happy. Finally, his gaze fell on Zhao Xiaoman. Oh, who dares to bully the unruly Zhao Xiaoman? Who has the guts? Isn't it our commander-in-chief? He even brought people from the church and forced us to join them. Lin Jun's gaze fell on Shun Lixing. After a few glances, he suddenly pointed at the two elders behind Shun Lixing and said, There is no believer in Bingsheng. Get out of here immediately. Facing Lin Jun, The two golden-robed elders didn't dare to utter a single word. Instead, they just jumped off the city wall. Lin Jun had already killed too many people from the divine sect. Ordinary Star Realm experts didn't dare to be presumptuous in front of Lin Jun, so they ran away with their tails between their legs. Of course, Lin Jun was confident that they wouldn't be able to escape. Xianwan was already waiting for them to go down. After going down, the two elders of the immortal sect fell into a tough fight. After a short while, two miserable shrieks drifted from below. Then, there was no more movement. Zhao Xiaoman continued. Big Brother Lin, our commander said that if you can save Bingcheng from danger, he will bring his men and break out of the encirclement naked. Lin Jun nodded. This Shen Lixing was the son of a high-ranking official in the country. It would be inappropriate to kill him in front of so many people. Then, he would give them a chance to break out of the encirclement. But if they failed to break out and died, then it would have nothing to do with Lin Jun. Lin Jun looked at the surrounding crowd and said loudly, Everyone, I'm late to the siege of Bingcheng. But don't worry, this crisis will definitely pass. We don't need to rely on the divine sect to get through this. Boss Lin, we believe in you. Idol, tell us, what should we do? Big Brother Lin, give the order. We will listen to you. Lin Jun nodded and said, The mission is simple. Everyone, cover me with your firepower. I will go out and find the enemy of 10,000 men and try to bring back good news for everyone. And Ning and the others all nodded. For a long time, Lin Jun had created miracles time and time again, so they trusted Lin Jun very much. Only Shen Lixing was still unconvinced and said, Lin Jun, you better think carefully. The safety of tens of millions of people in Bingcheng is at stake here. You can't play around. Chief Commander Shen, you should worry about how you're going to break out of the encirclement later. It's not that easy to go out naked. Lin Jun didn't want to talk nonsense with this person at all. Although he was the son of a high-ranking official in the country, in Lin Jun's eyes, he was like an ant, not worth mentioning. I'll be back soon. Everyone, remember, once the mutant beasts show signs of retreating, immediately drive these people out. Lin Jun and Ning said goodbye. Then, with a flap of the lightning wings, he went straight to the west. This time, Lin Jun didn't release Xianwan's aura. The mutant birds and beasts immediately rushed toward Lin Jun. However, with Lin Jun's current strength, these low-level mutant beasts couldn't do any harm to him at all. As soon as he activated his mental energy shield, the seven-star blade rose into the air. All kinds of elemental energy wreaked havoc and went straight into the distance. Regardless of whether it was the birds or beasts, they couldn't get close to Lin Jun's body at all. They were torn to pieces by the elemental energy. Seeing Lin Jun leave with a rumbling sound, the people of Bingcheng were even more confident. They waited for the news of Lin Jun's victorious return. In a secret room in Constantinople, Yin Huang was reading the news on the internet. His eyes were red. Lin Jun actually came out of the city of ancient gods, and his strength was obviously much stronger. Yin Huang now didn't have the confidence to beat Lin Jun, especially since he hadn't completely refined the Starry Sky Crown. Compared to the last time he met Lin Jun, his strength hadn't increased by much. The main reason was that he was feeling uneasy. Tomorrow was the day of his promised wedding, but he still hadn't found Su Mingwei. The wedding couldn't be held. In fact, it wasn't that he couldn't find Su Mingwei. He knew that Su Mingwei was in the Church of God's Grace in the capital Bay City. However, Gongsun Du refused to let her go. Yin Huang wasn't confident that he could beat Gongsun Du, so this matter was delayed. Seeing that the time was almost up, he still hadn't been able to resonate with the last and largest gem on the Starry Sky Crown. This made him a little anxious. Am I really going to lose to Lin Jun? No, I can't accept this. Yin Huang clutched the Starry Sky Crown tightly. He was extremely unwilling. As long as I can defeat Lin Jun, I'm willing to pay any price. These words came out of his mouth unknowingly. He seemed to be hallucinating. The space in front of him opened slightly, and then a blue light screen appeared in that space. It was like an electronic screen floating in the air. A person appeared in it. It was a person wearing an officer's uniform. However, Yin Huang had never seen this person before. nor had he ever seen such a uniform. Are you really willing to pay any price for victory? This person took the initiative to speak to Yin Huang. Who are you? Yin Huang was stunned. Take a look at this first, then you'll know who I am. This person raised his hand, and an electronic screen appeared in his hand. Images appeared on it. The first thing that appeared was a vast starry sky. The starry sky was beautiful and deep. Time and space seemed to be eternal here. Yin Huang was a little mesmerized. A beautiful planet appeared. The environment here was similar to Earth. There were mountains, rivers, air, and oceans. There were also some humans. However, the humans here looked slightly different from those on Earth. They had pointy ears. The following images recorded the lives of the humans on this planet. Battles, conspiracies, and massacres. Scenes similar to the history of human civilization were displayed in front of Yin Huang's eyes. This planet also had beliefs. The sect was called the Heavenly Sect, and the gods they believed in were called the Heavenly Gods. However, they looked similar to the starry sky true gods that humans believed in. The Heavenly Sect ruled this planet. Some experts appeared on this planet. They were at least in the star realm, and there were even experts in the third stage of the eternal realm. They overthrew the Heavenly Sect and seemed to want to establish a new order. Then, a hole appeared in space. Countless huge battleships sailed out of the hole and flew towards this planet. After that, there were scenes of war. The civilization of this planet was almost destroyed. The rebels of the Heavenly Sect were massacred. In front of the invading experts, their resistance was useless. The Heavenly Sect rose again. The people of this planet were all enslaved. They left this planet and entered the vast universe. The vastness of the universe and the richness of life suddenly opened Yin Huang's eyes. He felt that he was a frog in a well. It turned out that there was such a wonderful world outside. There were flags everywhere. The people on the flags were actually the starry sky true gods that Yin Huang had believed in for a long time. The true god sat cross-legged in the starry sky. His face couldn't be seen clearly, but he was holding a few stars in his hand. True God. Yin Huang couldn't help but cry out. Although he was the son of the Heavenly Sect, he had doubted the existence of true gods. However, at this moment, the appearance of this video, which was obviously not synthesized, immediately shattered his doubts. There really was a true God. The person on the other side of the water screen closed the video and said to Yin Huang, "Yin Huang Lucifer, maybe I should introduce myself now. My name is Xu Ming. You can call me Captain or Emissary because I am from the Kingdom of True Gods." The Kingdom of True Gods. There really is a Kingdom of True Gods. Yes, the Kingdom of True Gods does exist. In the near future, the army of true gods you saw in the video will descend on Earth. At that time, this place will become the territory of the Kingdom of True Gods. Yin Huang Lucifer, are you willing to follow your faith and become a member of the Kingdom of True Gods? I am willing, but Yin Huang was still unsatisfied. He still had things to do. I know what you are worried about. As long as you agree to my next request, I promise that Gong Sun Du will stand on your side again. I will also ask him to bring Su Mingwei to your side. My people will also help you control the Starry Sky Crown. At that time, if Lin Zhan dares to come, you will not be able to return. All of Yin Huang's worries were dispelled. He was suddenly overjoyed. Yin Huang is willing to serve Lord Xu Mingxian. Then open the door. My men are already outside your door. Yin Huang immediately got up and opened the door of the secret room. However, he was shocked. The person standing outside was more than 2 meters tall. It was Halaf, who he had fought with in the city of ancient gods. Chapter 333. Seeing that the person who came was actually Halaf, Yin Huang was stunned for a moment, but then he revealed a look of understanding. No wonder Halaf was so powerful. So it was because he was with Xu Mingxian. This was not strange at all. This made Yin Huang trust him even more, and he immediately invited Halaf in. Halaf sat down and spoke to Yin Huang. I'm sure Captain Xu Mingxian has already explained everything to you, so I won't beat around the bush. The army of the true gods will descend on Earth very soon. As the Pope, you must set an example on this matter. Only then will you be able to obtain more benefits in the future. I'll listen to you. I'm willing to serve. That's good. Let me tell you, I can help you control the starry sky crown, but you have to do something for me. What? Conquer. Yin Huang was shocked when he heard Halef's words. Conquer where? Conquer this world. Start with Huaxia. Halef looked at Yin Huang. Why do you think Sir Shu Mingxian found you? He doesn't care about you as a person. You're the Pope, but you can't even defeat Lin Zhan. When the army of the true gods descends in the future, what will you rely on to gain more benefits? Right now, the church is on the decline. If you don't make some big moves, then the church will have no place in this world. This will be disadvantageous to the operation of the army of true gods. Do you understand this? Yin Huang sighed, but it won't be easy to conquer Huaxia. Of course I know it won't be easy, but you don't have a choice. The army of the church was defeated in Ice City. Our reputation in Huaxia has fallen to the lowest point. The Huaxia people are leaving the church. If we don't do something to Huaxia, there won't be a place for the church to survive. But I don't have many people left, and I don't have many flying devices left. We don't need too many people. A truly powerful warrior is stronger than 1,000,000 people. As far as I know, your divine sect has a group of ascetics, right? Yin Huang was shocked. He didn't expect Halef to know this secret. That's right. We have a group of ascetics here, but those people are truly devout believers. They were formed by the successive great divinity lords of various base cities over the past hundreds of years. They only know how to comprehend the doctrine and improve their strength. They themselves don't participate in worldly battles. Their names aren't even on the star ranking. Although I'm the Pope, I don't have the right to order them around. What we need now is their piety. Only those who are truly pious to the true God can be used by us. Because once they confirm the existence of the true God, they will definitely erupt with great power. I need you to find them, and then I will teach them a lesson. When Yin Huang heard this, he immediately understood what Halef meant. Halef, or rather, Shu Mingxuan's intention was very clear. He wanted these devout believers to see the existence of a starry sky, true God. Naturally, they would gather together and serve Shu Mingxian. Yin Huang knew very well how powerful those ascetics were. The church had been established for nearly 1,000 years. There were 30 great divinity lords in the world, and every few decades, there would be a new great divinity lord. Those who could become great divinity lords were all extremely devout believers in the starry sky, true God, just like the 30 golden-robed elders of the church. Some of these people had died, while others wandered around the world and explored the ancient god ruins. But there were about 100 people, all of them staying in a place called Iceland. Iceland used to be a country in the Christian calendar, but because it was surrounded by the sea, it was destroyed after the day of God's change. That place became a paradise for monsters, and there were even sea monsters everywhere. Those ascetics stayed there, eating simple food every day. They didn't have any entertainment or women. They fought to improve their strength while learning the doctrine of the Starry Sky Church. It could be said that they were a group of extremely stubborn people. When Yin Huang established the church, he wanted to invite these ascetics to come out, but he didn't succeed. Those ascetics didn't want to participate in worldly affairs at all. In Yin Huang's opinion, even if the church was destroyed, they might not be able to invite them out. Perhaps the only thing that could move them was information about the Starry Sky True God. Halef's proposal had a high chance of success. Thinking of this, Yin Huang couldn't help but secretly become excited. Among the ascetics, there were a few whose strength was even comparable to the masters on the Heavenly Star list. If this group of people could be ordered by him, then unifying the world might not be impossible. At this time, Halef gave Yin Huang something else. Look here, these are all images of the starry sky, true God. Yin Huang looked at them one by one. Some of the images even had images of the starry sky, true God, destroying planets. These images were undoubtedly real, which further proved the existence of the true God. It could be considered as irrefutable evidence. You can imagine, once these things are taken out, those ascetics will definitely gather around you without hesitation. By then, you will have the strongest helpers in the world. Conquering the world will no longer be a dream. When the true God army arrives, you will lead the church to welcome them. Guess what kind of reward you will receive at that time? Shu Mingxian controlled Holof's body and kept tempting Yin Huang. He didn't tell Yin Huang the truth. What was a true god? A true god was nothing more than a strong person in the universe. The information he showed Yin Huang was just an image of a star-level warrior belonging to the empire. But the true god worshipped by the church on earth was like this. Shu Mingxian stayed in the fourth level of the city of ancient god and watched the various things that happen on earth every day. He knew everything like the back of his hand. After failing to kill Lin Zhan in the city of ancient god, Shu Mingxian felt that he couldn't continue to be controlled by Hua Luo's thoughts. So he returned to the fourth level and reformed Hua Luo again, finally wiping out Hua Luo's strong obsession. This time, he could finally completely control Holof, this battle machine. And after communicating with Xin and Tuya who were about to arrive on Earth, he knew that the Empire's expedition army had already set off. The Empire's army is definitely going to conquer Earth, but Shu Mingxian is just an ordinary captain, and he has been trapped on Earth for so many years without any achievements. When the Empire's army arrives, he's afraid that he won't have any merits. Therefore, he must show something. Shu Mingxian's ambition is getting bigger and bigger. He thought that if he can hand over a civilized planet to the Empire's army, he might even be granted noble status after returning. The country Shu Mingxian is in is called the Sky River Empire. It's an elementary civilization in the universe. Don't underestimate this elementary civilization. Its territory is a galaxy. How big is a galaxy? This galaxy isn't the solar system, it's the Milky Way. The distance from here to the Milky Way is more than 100,000 light-years. The capital of the Sky River Empire is located in the depths of the Milky Way, more than 50,000 light-years away from Earth. A light-year is a unit of distance. If it's calculated according to the units of kilometers and meters on Earth, it's an astronomical number. In the entire Milky Way, there are more than 100 billion stars like the Sun and countless planets like Earth. Therefore, although the Sky River Empire rules the Milky Way, there's still many places in the Milky Way that haven't been explored and developed yet. This kind of planet with civilization is the favorite of the big shots of the Empire. It can be said that it's second only to resource planets. Although Shu Mingxian is a captain, he's just a civilian in the Empire. If he can offer a civilization star, his future will be glorious. Therefore, after getting rid of Hollis mind control, the first thing he did was to look for Yin Huang. Only Yin Huang is the most suitable and most likely to succeed in this matter. After all, he is the Pope. It's less than a month before the arrival of Xin, and Tuya. He must make achievements before then. As long as he makes achievements, no one can erase them. Seeing that Yin Huang was already tempted, Shu Mingxian immediately struck while the iron was hot. Come on, I think you may still be a little worried about your strength. You are worried that once the ascetics arrive, your strength won't be enough to convince them. I will help you solve this problem now. Give me your star crown. After taking Yin Huang's star crown, Shu Mingxian put on Yin Huang's head, then pressed his hands on his back. This starry sky crown is a very good sacred artifact. Although it is only a high-grade sacred artifact, it can provide an endless supply of astral energy. Only it is not easy to control the astral energy gems on it. I will lend you a hand now. I will help you completely control it and improve your strength. Yin Huang hurriedly began to meditate, continuing to try to master the power of the star crown with his star power. In the past, he tried for so many days without success. In the end, it's because he doesn't have enough strength. Now, with Shu Mingxian's help, he actually mastered the star crown in half an hour. Feeling the surging star power flowing through his body, Yin Huang had the urge to look up to the sky and roar. Haha, Yin Huang, congratulations on the great improvement in your strength. I dare say with certainty that although I, Holif, am not afraid of ordinary meteor stage experts, after you master the star crown, I won't be able to last more than a minute in front of you. Yin Huang nodded. He did feel that his strength had increased by a lot. He even wanted to find someone to test his strength. Shu Mingxian continued to take out an item. Come, this is for you. With it, you can even contend with experts on the Heavenly Star list. You don't have to worry about not being able to suppress those ascetics anymore. Yin Huang took a look at it. It was a box of flowing liquid. However, this liquid was emitting a strong light, which made him, who had comprehended the light atom, feel very familiar. What is this? It seems like I can control it with my spirit power? Hee hee, this thing is amazing. It's definitely not something you Earthlings can make. This is called a psychic weapon, just like the liquid metal on Earth. However, this one is formed by bathing in the light of star. It's called Light Fiend. Only people who have resonated with the light atom can use it. It's just right for you. Chapter 334. Lin Jun left the walls of Ice City and immediately headed west under the cover of Xiaowan. With Xiaowan around, no mutant beast tried to kill Lin Jun. A minute later, Lin Jun saw the culprit behind the siege of Ice City, 10,000 men's enemy. Xiaowan pounced forward and fought with 10,000 men's enemy. The other mutant beasts did not dare to participate in the battle between the kings. Lin Jun quietly made his move. A black spatial crack appeared, and 10,000 men's enemy, who was fighting with Xiaowan, could not dodge in time and crashed into it. The huge tiger head was cut open, and the crystal was taken out by Lin Jun. From the time he left Ice City to the time he killed 10,000 men's enemy, the whole process did not take more than 3 minutes. However, Lin Jun did not immediately return to Ice City. Instead, he left Xiaowan here. He had already discovered that Xiaowan the Galactic Beast had a suppressive effect on the low-level mutant beasts. Now that 10,000 men's enemy was dead, Xiaowan was the king here. He asked Xiaowan to stay here temporarily to create the illusion that the mutant beasts were still besieging the city. This would also prove that Lin Jun had not killed 10,000 men's enemy. Lin Jun quickly boarded the Black Wraith and headed straight for Constantinople. He could not stand the fact that his parents were controlled by the Vatican. He wanted to use this time to make people think that he was still in Ice City and take the opportunity to rescue his parents. The Black Wraith's speed soared as it headed west. From Ice City to Constantinople, with the Black Wraith speed, it only took 30 minutes. Seeing that the walls of Constantinople were in sight, Lin Jun got off the Black Wraith and dressed up simply. He then followed the crowd into the city. The city guards in the distance were very strict. From the discussions of the people around, it seemed that His Majesty the Pope was about to get married. During this period of time, the inspection had to be done more carefully. Of course, this level of inspection was not a problem for Lin Jun. When he was 500 meters away from the city wall, he suddenly teleported. In the next moment, he was 500 meters inside the city without being discovered by anyone. Constantinople was known as the Holy City. Before the Christian era, it was a religious city. Now it was the birthplace of God. There were churches everywhere. There were not many Chinese faces. Fortunately, Lin Jun was wearing a mask, so no one could recognize who he was. Yin Huang and my parents are probably at the Divine Might Church. I should go there to take a look and try to save my parents as soon as possible. As long as I can save them, I won't have any worries. They walked all the way to the front of the Divine Might Church. This building was several hundred meters tall and had a typical Western style. It also occupied a large area. The decorations on top had also experienced the baptism of wind and frost for several hundred years and had become old. When he reached the front of the God's Might Church, Lin Jun found that he couldn't enter. Because His Majesty the Pope had announced that he was going to get married, the Divine Might Church was decorated with lanterns and banners. It was a scene of celebration. However, every entrance was heavily guarded, and there was an energy shield at the entrance. If he wanted to teleport in, he would definitely alert others. Lin Jun didn't want to force his way in because he didn't know his parents' exact location. If he alerted Yin Huang, his parents might be in danger. After circling around the place, Lin Jun still couldn't find a suitable way to enter. He wasn't in a hurry. Instead, he walked to a tavern a few hundred meters away. He saw the waiter of the tavern was busy loading jars of wine into a cart. It seemed like he was about to transport them somewhere. Lin Jun pretended to be drunk and staggered over. "Hey, I'll buy this wine. I'll take it for any price. You don't have to look for a seller." The waiter looked at Lin Jun with disgust. "Hurry up and get out of the way. This is going to be sent to the church. It's for His Majesty the Pope's wedding banquet." A guy like you won't be able to enjoy it. Kid, don't waste your breath on this guy. Hurry up and load the cart. Kid, I'm warning you, stay away. Otherwise, I'll find someone to throw you into the gutter. A waiter walked out and loaded a barrel of wine into the cart. Then, he went to fetch another barrel. Lin Jun muttered to himself as he entered the tavern. He found a corner and sat down. A moment later, he appeared in the basement of the tavern. After opening a barrel of wine, Lin Jun raised his hand and sucked most of the wine into his space ring. Then, he activated his energy shield and entered the barrel. Because of Lin Jun's entry, half of the barrel became full again. He used gravity to close the barrel. Soon, the waiter came in and carried the barrel of wine that Lin Jun was in into the cart. After a few more trips, the cart was finished. It started to drive to the God's Might Church. To enter the church, one had to go through an infrared scan. Everything inside the wine barrel was clear. Lin Jun used the folded space and escaped into the space, easily passing through the scan. He activated one of the double energy shields and let the cart in. Then, he activated the second one to ensure that no one could sneak in. The cart drove all the way to the church's warehouse. The barrel was unloaded and placed in a corner. As the people left, Lin Jun climbed out of the barrel. The energy shield was removed. Lin Jun didn't smell of wine at all. He looked at the compass in his hand and found 2 black dots in the church. At Lin Jun's current level, those who could still show black dots on the compass should be experts on the Dark Star list. Even experts on the meteor list couldn't pose any threat to him. Lin Jun knew that he wasn't the only one with a compass. In order to avoid being discovered, Lin Jun resolutely stopped the Dark Star's operation. The astral power inside the space wouldn't leak out. This way, he would only appear as a quasi-star realm expert in front of others. Quasi-star realm experts were very common in the church. This wouldn't arouse any suspicion. He saw from the compass that there was a guard at the door of the warehouse. He was also a quasi-star realm expert and was only one wall away from him. Lin Jun raised his finger and shot out a ray of golden light. It made a small hole in the wall. With a bit of space, he could use teleportation and immediately teleport outside. The quasi-star realm expert on guard felt his vision blur. Then, he sank into boundless darkness. After taking care of the guard with a spatial cut, Lin Jun immediately changed into the guard's clothes and put the corpse into his space ring. He stood there like a wooden stake. No one would discover that the guard had changed for the time being. Lin Jun finally started to examine everything in detail. 2 of the blackest dots were on the top floor of the Divine Might Church. In the entire Divine Might Church, the 2 people on the top floor are the biggest threats to me. One of them is probably Yin Huang, but who is the other one? Lin Jun didn't think too much about it. He discovered that the Divine Might Church had 4 floors in the basement. There was also a small black dot on the 4th floor. Lin Jun immediately felt that perhaps that was where his parents were being held. When the church released the video of his parents every day, it felt like they were in a room with no windows. The only place with no windows was the basement. Lin Jun secretly observed the route. Then, he left the warehouse and headed for the basement. Lin Jun extended his mind power outwards. When he encountered a camera, he used teleportation to avoid it. Very soon, he arrived at the entrance to the basement. There were 2 guards at the entrance. Lin Jun immediately used a mind attack and then used soul lock. The guard quickly became Lin Jun's subordinate and immediately told Lin Jun everything he knew. Lin Jun's parents were indeed being held in the basement. A Star Realm elder was guarding them. Lin Jun asked the guard to open the door. Then, he went straight down to the 4th floor. The entrance to the 4th floor was a spacious passageway. Lin Jun was immediately discovered by the elder on guard as soon as he entered. However, Lin Jun immediately used a mind attack. The second move, spatial cut. A spatial crack appeared in front of the elder. Lin Jun's third move, gravity. The elder's body was dragged over and cut. The elder didn't even have time to press the alarm. The moment the mind attack stopped, he was killed by Lin Jun's next 2 moves. He lost his head. Lin Jun directly teleported to the room where his parents were. The spatial cut directly destroyed the password lock on the door and opened it to release his parents. "Mom, Dad, let's go home." Lin Jun and Li Qin didn't suffer much. They just lost their freedom here. Seeing their son come, they knew the severity of the situation. They immediately followed Lin Jun out. The way out wouldn't be smooth because of his parents. Lin Jun simply chose the shortest path and barged in. Along the way, no matter who he met, Lin Jun immediately used a mind attack to kill them, not giving them any chance to resist. After killing more than a dozen people, they finally rushed out of the church in Constantinople. However, the moment they went out, Li Qin triggered the alarm at the door. Lin Jun immediately saw the two black dots on the compass move. He grabbed his parents' hands. "Let's go to Bingsheng Base City." The black ghost directly rushed into the sky and went straight out of Constantinople. However, Lin Jun wasn't on it. He flapped his lightning wings and followed behind the black ghost. When they reached the city wall, he directly released a few energy balls to clear a few anti-air guns, allowing his parents to leave Constantinople smoothly. As soon as his parents left, the two people who were chasing after them arrived, Yin Huang and Halaf. As long as his parents were safe, Lin Jun didn't plan to escape. After Dark Star leveled up, he hadn't met a decent opponent. These two people were just right. Taking out the blaze spear, Lin Jun floated outside Constantinople, waiting for Yin Huang and Halaf to arrive. Originally, Yin Huang was in a good mood. After getting the Starry Crown and terminating Light, he was full of ambition and wanted to do something big. He didn't expect Lin Jun to come at this time and kidnap his parents. Originally, Yin Huang wanted to personally guard Lin Jun's parents. However, because he didn't have the Starry Crown and saw that Lin Jun was still fighting with the mutant beasts in Bingsheng, he was a little careless. He didn't expect Lin Jun to create such a diversion. "Lin Jun, how dare you barge into the Holy See and slaughter members of the clergy? This is a capital offense." Yin Huang's aura was obviously much stronger. Moreover, he had the alien puppet Halaf beside him. Today's battle wouldn't be easy. Moreover, Lin Jun had a feeling that someone was secretly watching him. He had this feeling when he entered Constantinople, but he didn't find the person who was secretly watching him. Chapter 335. The city guards of Constantinople rushed over with the alarm, but they were stopped by Yin Huang with a wave of his hand. A battle of this level is not something you can interfere in. It doesn't matter how many people there are. Just watch from the side. Remember to record this battle, because this will be the most important battle for me. Yin Huang Lucifer. Lin Jun did not care about the city guards who were filming the battle in the distance. In fact, other than some secret places, it was difficult to hide the battle from the cameras everywhere. When the news came out, the people of Bingsheng were stunned. Shun Lixing immediately shouted on the city wall, "Lin Jun is a shameless liar. He did not save Bingsheng from the siege at all. He ran out." Zhao Xiaoman snorted, "I don't believe it. Brother Lin Jun will not leave us alone. Maybe he has already killed 10,000 men's enemy. You are unprincipled to protect Lin Jun. Isn't Bingsheng still surrounded by mutant beasts?" Ning said at this time, "Didn't you notice? Ever since Lin Jun went out, the mutant beasts did not attack even once." Everyone was stunned. Indeed, after Lin Jun went out, the mutant beasts did not move, as if they were waiting for the order to attack. But now that Lin Jun was in Constantinople, why did the mutant beasts in Bingsheng not move? Looking into the distance, the attentive people found that the thickness of the mutant beasts seemed to have decreased significantly, and the beasts in the distance had become sparse. "The mutant beasts are retreating," some of the city guards shouted. Everyone could see that the mutant beasts were starting to retreat. The fastest were the mutant birds. The sky that was covered with almost no sunlight cleared up, and the suffocating feeling disappeared. Waves of mutant beasts turned around and left Bingsheng, gradually disappearing into the horizon. Without the leader of the high-level mutant beasts, these mutant beasts did not dare to get close to the high and thick walls of Bingsheng. They instinctively returned to their own habitats. The flames of war in Bingsheng had finally stopped, and there were over 2 billion mutant beast corpses left behind. At the same time, nearly 10 million people had lost their lives in this battle. Fortunately, Bingsheng had been saved. Shun Lixing and his group were thrown off the city wall. Waiting for them was Xiao Wan, who had already received Lin Zhen's orders. Lin Zhen first gave up the opportunity to make a request to the country and spent 600 billion to build the city wall along the river. After that, he returned to Ice City and went deep into the horde of beasts to kill tens of thousands of enemies. It was as if he had single-handedly saved Ice City from a crisis. This action immediately caused another wave of excitement in China. Moreover, Lin Zhen was still fighting with Yan Huang of the God Sect, which made the Chinese people even more disgusted with the God Sect. Why is this God Sect so annoying? They just had to go against their national hero. If anyone were to join such a sect, they would really be out of their minds. Countless posts appeared in the major forums of Huaxia, and the theme was only a few words: boycott the divine religion, start with me. This wave of withdrawal from the God Sect was more severe than any previous wave. The God Sect's followers had become the target of scorn in China, and everyone wanted to beat them up. Huaxia was the first country to become atheist, and it started from this time. If Huaxia had hundreds of millions of followers before this, after this incident, the number of followers had sharply decreased to tens of millions, and it was still decreasing. Between faith and national dignity, as long as he was still a normal person with a little sense of national honor and a little bit of patriotism, he would make the right choice. Unknowingly, the name Lin Zhen had been tightly tied to the Huaxia people, and there was no distinction between them. Of course, all of this did not affect Lin Zhen, who was fighting outside Constantinople. People were still paying attention to Lin Zhen's fate. Although this incident was unexpected, it still attracted a lot of attention from the world. It could be said that Yan Huang and Lin Zhen represented the collision of two forces. Needless to say, the two of them represented the change of power in the world and the change of people's faith. It wasn't that Lin Zhen and Yan Huang hadn't fought before. When they were in the city of ancient God, the two of them had a fierce battle. At that time, if it wasn't for Halef's intervention, the two of them would have perished together. This kind of battle could not be lost. Even if you bet your life, it would not be enough. If Yan Huang lost, the fate of the God Sect could be imagined. The God Sect, which was declining day by day, had internal and external troubles. Lin Zhen could be said to be a big problem. If Lin Zhen was completely destroyed, there might be a glimmer of hope. If he lost, then the sect would not be far from being completely disintegrated. Lin Zhen could not afford to lose either. Now, Lin Zhen not only represented himself, but he also represented his Huaxia people and the countless people behind him who supported him. If he lost, the God Sect could rise from the ashes in Huaxia. Those who followed him would not have a good ending. This personal battle was not just between the two of them. It represented the clash of ideas and the clash of Eastern and Western cultures. A small personal battle attracted the attention of the world. The winner was the king, and the loser was the bandit. It was just that simple and also so cruel. Lin Zhen looked at Yan Huang and Halef and raised ardent light in his hand. Yan Huang, you and that big black bear can come together. Yan Huang snorted in disdain. Lin Zhen, you are too arrogant. I can tell you clearly that today will be your last battle. Do you have the ability? Lin Zhen laughed coldly. This has nothing to do with ability. Yan Huang waved his finger and then looked at Halef. Do you know who this person in front of you is? This is the true God's emissary, the representative of God in the human world. He is no longer the Halef of the past. Actually, it's useless for me to tell you this, because a blasphemer like you will never understand the greatness of a true God. Is God great? I really can't see it. Lin Zhen snorted at Yan Huang's words. I knew it. But since today is your last battle, I don't mind saying a few more words. It is not only for you, but also for the whole world. Yan Huang was overwhelmed with emotions. He finally confirmed the existence of God. His faith had found a place to rest. He wanted to share this joy with the whole world and let everyone in the world join the God Sect. If he couldn't motivate these foolish people, then they should just die. This was his, Yan Huang Lucifer's, point of view. Yan Huang took out the video and played it for about 5 minutes. It could be said that this video caused a huge commotion in the world. Whether God existed or not, this was an extremely sensitive topic that was repeatedly brought up by people. If they could calculate the number of followers of the God Sect, then on a global scale, it would definitely increase. Because this video had convinced many people. But the only country that dropped was China. Yin Huang was still enemies with Lin Jun. At this time, people instinctively felt that Yin Huang was lying and started to distrust him. Even if this video was so real, it still couldn't stop the Chinese people from leaving the God sect. But Yin Huang's goal was achieved. After all, many people still believed him. That was enough. According to his thoughts, the remaining stubborn people didn't need to live anymore. Putting away his phone, Yin Huang took out a box of things. This was the light fiend that Halaf had given him. This thing came from the vast universe and was called a telekinesis weapon. Its quality was even at the level of a top-grade saint weapon. It could change shape at will, similar to the liquid metal on Earth. When the light fiend was taken out, a dazzling light flashed in the air. Even though it was daytime, this thing made people unable to open their eyes. Lin Jun, I have to say that I admire you. You're just a Star Realm martial artist, but you're able to make me, the God Sect's Pope, Light Saint Sun, Yin Huang Lucifer, value you to this extent. You should be proud, but it's a pity. According to you Easterners, the tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. Your existence makes me feel uncomfortable, so you must die. Beside him, Halaf was standing in the air, about 200 to 300 meters away. From Halaf's point of view, Yin Huang was enough to take care of Lin Jun. He didn't need to do anything. Lin Jun felt a powerful energy coming from the light fiend, and his expression became serious. Yin Huang had actually obtained this thing. Only people who controlled light atoms could use the light fiend. Yin Huang was very likely the only person on Earth who could use it. This battle wasn't going to be easy. Light flashed on Yin Huang's body, and a full set of light saint weapons covered his entire body. There was a sword, a shield, and an armor. The light fiend surrounded his waist, just like Lin Jun's liquid metal. However, it was much stronger than Lin Jun's liquid metal. Lin Jun, before you die, I'll tell you a piece of news. Actually, it's better for you to die, so that you won't have to see your country fall. Otherwise, you'll be in even more pain. What did you say? Lin Jun was stunned. Haha, your country and my God sect are gradually drifting apart, and they've completely forgotten everything the God sect has given them in the past. Such a person can be called an apostate or a heretic. Yin Huang's expression was solemn. I can say responsibly that from today onwards, the God sect will prepare to eliminate heretics. Your country will definitely bear the brunt of this. Lin Jun's gaze suddenly turned cold. Dream on. Dreams can only be dreamed by people with strength. You, who are about to die, don't even have the qualifications to dream. Yin Huang suddenly erupted. The light on his body shone brightly like a newborn sun as he flew straight towards Lin Jun. When Lin Jun heard Yin Huang's ambition, anger surged in his heart. He suddenly exerted force with one arm. Get out of my way. The middle-grade saint artifact Ardent Light Spear in his hand turned into a bolt of lightning and shot out. Yin Huang had said so much in order to accumulate his momentum. At this moment, his momentum had already accumulated to the limit. He wanted to kill Lin Jun in one move, but he didn't expect that Lin Jun would throw out his weapon in the first move. Facing the spear wrapped in golden energy, Yin Huang didn't dare to meet it head-on. He instinctively leaned to the left, and when he tilted his head, a spatial crack silently appeared beside him. Lin Jun didn't throw his weapon because he was hot-blooded. He was waiting for Yin Huang to dodge. Space Cut. Chapter 336. This scene was beyond everyone's expectations. Even if one wasn't a martial artist, one could still see that Yin Huang's momentum was at its peak. Facing Lin Jun, he definitely held the advantage. He attacked with an unyielding attitude, but he never thought that Lin Jun would be even tougher than him. Lin Jun actually threw out his weapon in the first move. The medium-grade Saint Artifact Spear was filled with Lin Jun's gold chi, emitting a shrill howl. It was already comparable to a high-grade Saint Artifact. Even Yin Huang didn't dare to recklessly face its edge. Helpless, he could only dodge. Like this, the momentum that he had been accumulating for a long time leaked out. But he never imagined that such a simple dodge would fall right into Lin Jun's trap. Lin Jun was too cunning. and that move that tore through space was too ruthless. It actually cut off Yin Huang's arm. It's this move again. My arm. Yin Huang grabbed the arm that had been cut off and retreated, blood gushing out from his shoulder. He condensed his mental strength, wanting to use the fiendish light at his waist. Lin Jun had planned this move for a long time. Seeing that it had succeeded, how could he give Yin Huang another chance? The spear that had already shot out 100 meters was pulled back by a gravitational force. He shouted, "Yin Huang Lucifer! First you insulted me, then you tried to steal my girlfriend, then you kidnapped my parents, and now you want to conquer my country. I, Lin Jun, am not someone who upholds justice for the heavens, but I know good and evil. How can I tolerate you? Today, you will stay here forever for me." Mental attack. Yin Huang screamed out in pain. He was hit by Lin Jun's mental attack. The two people's mental strengths were basically equal, but at this moment, Yin Huang was in an incomparably sorry state. He groaned and staggered backwards. Lin Jun's attack not only pushed him back, but also interrupted his attempt to use the fiendish light. Lin Jun seized the opportunity and swept out with his spear, stirring up wind and thunder. "Hit for me." One of Yin Huang's arms was broken. As he staggered, he kept it into his interspatial ring and used his right hand to block the attack with his sword. However, what was Lin Jun's current strength? After condensing the Dark Star, Lin Jun was already a powerful Star Realm cultivator. Yin Huang was injured, so how could he block Lin Jun's thunderous attack with one hand? Boom! Yin Huang spat out a mouthful of blood. The longsword in his hand was unable to block Lin Jun's strike. His abdomen was struck, and his body was sent flying 100 meters away. Lin Jun believed in one thing, and that was to take the enemy's life while they were sick. At this moment, Yin Huang was like a drowning dog. If he didn't fight now, when would he? Lin Jun chased after Yin Huang. His long spear emitted a dazzling light in the air as he prepared to take Yin Huang's life. Yin Huang wanted to use the fiendish light a second time, but it was interrupted by Lin Jun's mental attack. Although his realm was far higher than Lin Jun's, when it came to fighting, there was still a large gap between him and Lin Jun, who had experienced hundreds of battles. Seeing the fierce light whistling over, Yin Huang was shocked. Was he going to die at Lin Jun's hands like this? He still had many tricks up his sleeve. If he died like this, he would be unwilling. Just as the long spear was about to reach his body, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Yin Huang. The giant war hammer in his hand fiercely swung upwards. "Lin Jun, enough of your arrogance." Clang! A huge collision sound rang out. Lin Jun's spear was actually swung away. "Heal off, you dare stop me." Lin Jun's eyes were a bit red. If it wasn't for this fellow's interference, he might have killed Yin Huang and the war with the God sect would have ended. But he didn't expect this heal-off to ruin his plans. He wished that Lin Jun could cut him into pieces. Heal-off laughed sinisterly. "Lin Jun, why wouldn't I dare? You are my enemy. Even if Yin Huang can't kill you, I will still take your life." "Then let's see if you have the ability." Lin Jun roared. His long spear trembled, and a sky full of spear light appeared as he charged towards Heal-off. He could see that Heal-off's strength hadn't changed much compared to when he was in the city of ancient gods. According to his analysis, he was equivalent to an expert on the Dark Star list. Although he was born with godly strength and his speed had greatly increased, how could Lin Jun be afraid of him when he already had star power? He attacked crazily and actually suppressed Heal-off in a direct confrontation. "Ayaya, star power. How can you be a Star Realm martial artist?" Heal-off cried out in shock. Lin Jun looked like a Star Realm martial artist. No matter how strong he was, Heal-off wasn't afraid. But when he fought with Lin Jun, he found out that Lin Jun actually had star power. This was far beyond his expectations. "Yin Huang, didn't you control light atoms? That thing has miraculous healing effects. Your severed arm might be able to be reattached. Hurry up and try to reattach it. I won't be able to hold on for long." When the two exchanged blows, Heal-off knew that he wouldn't be able to beat Lin Jun. He could only hope that Yin Huang could repair his severed arm. Even if he could recover half of his strength, Heal-off would have some confidence in fighting Lin Jun together. The power of light had miraculous healing effects. When Lin Jun resonated with the charged particles, he already had a very strong recovery effect. Later on, when he resonated with the light atoms, ordinary small injuries wouldn't affect him at all. And Yin Huang had already resonated with the light atoms. As long as he didn't die, it would be possible for his severed arm to be reattached. Yin Huang was saved by Hulof and luckily didn't die. At this moment, he couldn't care about anything else and hurriedly teleported far away. He took out his severed arm and placed it on his wound. Rays of light flickered on his wound. His muscles, veins, and bones were all recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. After being humiliated in front of the whole world, Yin Huang's face turned red. His eyes were bloodshot. He gritted his teeth and said, "Lin Jun, you're ruthless. But as long as I don't die today, I won't let you go. Just you wait." Feeling that his recovery speed wasn't fast enough, Yin Huang took out the star crown and put it on. Taking off the Saint Tool helmet, a few small thorn-like thorns came out of the star crown and pierced into Yin Huang's head. A huge amount of star power flickered on his body. The recovery speed increased again. He could even slightly clench his fist. Seeing this scene in the distance, Lin Jun was secretly anxious. Warriors with the power of light are not easy to deal with because their recovery speed is too strong, especially Yin Huang, who has resonated with the light atoms. As long as his life isn't taken, he's almost immortal. He must kill Hulof as soon as possible. Otherwise, when Yin Huang recovers, the situation will definitely be reversed. Lin Jun clearly felt that Yin Huang, who is wearing the star crown, is no longer someone he can resist. Only when the other party's left arm hasn't recovered can he have a chance to win. Hulof, why didn't you stay in the Sky River Empire? Since you came to Earth to die, I can only fulfill your wish. Lin Jun and Hulof fought for a few rounds, then suddenly said this sentence, surprising Hulof. "You? Who are you? How do you know the Empire?" Lin Jun didn't answer him. He felt Hulof's body tremble, and there was a pause of less than 1/100th of a second. "That's enough." 7-star sword. 7 flying knives rose into the air at the same time. Lin Jun also found an opportunity to infuse the earth element into the 7 flying knives. The 7 flying knives resonated with each other, and their quality reached the level of a sacred tool. In an instant, they covered Hulof's whole body. Wind. Lin Jun's dark star rotated, and the power of wind rushed out of his body. Suddenly, a fierce wind appeared on the ground, covering the sky and the sun. The 7 flying knives, with the support of the wind, soared again, attacking Hulof from all angles. Puff, 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 puff. Wounds appeared on Hulof's body, and blood splashed in the wind. Lin Jun, you can't kill me. You know the Empire. You should know that I'm the captain of Red Rose. I work for the royal family. My companions are coming. Don't try to kill me. Otherwise, the Empire won't let you go. Humph. Idiot. I'm an authentic Earthling. Who's in the Water Dragon King Temple with you? Die. The surrounding wind howled, and no one could hear their conversation. Lin Jun raised his hand. Ice. The cold wind blew, and the temperature immediately dropped to negative 100 degrees Celsius. Even Hulof was not used to this low temperature, and his speed slowed down again. Gravity field. Hulof had no choice, or maybe Xu Mingxian had no choice, and once again used his body's old skill, gravity field, to press down. Lin Jun's lips curled into a cold smile. Are you at your wit's end? Then I'll let you have a taste of lightning kill. A ball of energy covered the intense light, and lightning kill exploded again. The power of electricity appeared in the wind, and a strong light flashed, and Hulof's gravity field shattered like a mirror. Puff! The lightning broke through Hulof's abdomen and disappeared from sight. Hulof lowered his head to look at the huge hole in his abdomen, and his body staggered back, and his mouth made a sound. Again, Lin Jun suddenly teleported behind Hulof, and his spear stabbed fiercely. Hit me! The spear pierced through his chest, and the star power exploded, and Hulof's heart and lungs ruptured. But this person's tenacity was shocking, and he actually turned his head and looked at Lin Jun, his eyes full of hatred, as if he wanted to say something. Lin Jun smirked. I know what you're going to say. You probably feel indignant. The next time you come, the real you will come to take revenge on me. But I can tell you that I'll be waiting for you. The next time you come, I'll let you experience true death. Now, I'll let this body that you painstakingly created go to hell. Clang! The 7-star gold blade flew into Lin Jun's hand, and his body grabbed the spear, and with the help of the elasticity, he spun in the air, and the 7-star gold blade flashed past Hulof's throat. Lin Jun shouted, "Kill!" A pillar of blood shot into the sky, and Hulof's huge head was covered in dust, just like when Lin Jun cut off his head in the War God Arena. Chapter 337. After killing Huoluo with one blade, Lin Jun felt a sense of relief. He knew that, with this blade, he wouldn't be able to easily deal with the extraterrestrial civilization in the future. But only like this, placing oneself in a situation where there was no way out, could one truly unleash one's potential. After succeeding, Lin Jun immediately turned his target to Yin Huang. Yin Huang was also incomparably shocked. Lin Jun, you've got guts. You actually killed a true god's emissary. I've said it before, that's your true god. It has nothing to do with me. Since you think it's a pity, then you can go with him. With a flap of his lightning wings, Lin Jun fiercely pounced towards Yin Huang. Don't think that I'm really afraid of you. Yin Huang was careless just now and had his arm cut off by Lin Jun. This made him feel humiliated. Although his arm hadn't completely recovered, but with the sane equipment set on him and the fiendish light in his hand, he still dared to fight Lin Jun. The shield hung on his left hand was a bit unnaturally bent. He didn't dare to use too much strength, but the fiendish light in his right hand was able to display the might of a top-grade sane equipment. Spirit weapons were mental weapons. Under the support of mental power, their might would greatly increase. It was even better than a true top-grade sane equipment. Especially since Yin Huang had comprehended the power of light atoms. The fiendish light was extremely handy. When Yin Huang no longer tangled with Lin Jun, and instead faced him head-on, Lin Jun finally understood the difference between him and Yin Huang. Lin Jun also roughly knew what level the Dark Star list was, but now that Yin Huang had the support of the fiendish light, his strength might even reach the Heavenly Star list. And this was under the condition that one of his arms hadn't recovered. Spatial slicing was an unexpected move. It might be useful the first time, but it definitely wouldn't be so easy the second time. Yin Huang's fiendish light transformed into a sword that radiated light in all directions, crazily clashing with Lin Jun. Lin Jun, today, I want you to know that no matter how much your strength has improved, you are still inferior to me. Those little tricks of yours can't be considered elegant. Martial artists still have to rely on absolute strength to determine victory and defeat. Facing the falling star-like sword light, Lin Jun's raging light spear emitted a river of energy. Energy elements violently collided in the air, causing sparks to fly in all directions. The two of them fought from the ground to the sky, and from the sky to the ground. They were all mid-diamond level spirit reader masters. Spirit shock and teleportation were useless here. They could only rely on their strength to do the talking. As the battle progressed, Lin Jun sensed that Yin Huang had yet to fully grasp the baleful light. He was still not too familiar with how to use the power of a top-grade sacred artifact. But even so, Lin Jun still couldn't win. After all, there was a huge gap between their realms. Moreover, Yin Huang had a headball-like crown on his head that emitted starlight, making his strength seem endless. Every move he made was a full-power bombardment. Even Lin Jun, who was good at fighting protracted battles, was a little overwhelmed. This won't do. I can't win if I continue fighting like this. Yin Huang's arm isn't flexible enough at the moment. If I can't take him down like this, I'm afraid I won't have a chance in the future. After blocking Yin Huang's fierce attacks several times, Lin Jun decided to change his fighting style. Riches and honor were found in danger. Facing Yin Huang's sword rain again, Lin Jun used the same trick again. The raging light spear in his hand shot out again. This move was indeed effective. Lin Jun covered the spear with an energy ball. With his powerful arm strength, he threw the spear with all his strength. The space where the spear passed cracked. Yin Huang really couldn't take it head-on. But this time, Yin Huang didn't dodge in a panic like last time. Instead, he sneered. Lin Jun, have you run out of tricks? You actually want to use the same move twice. This time, I'll make you fall into your own trap. The fiendish light in his hand suddenly changed shape. It turned into a thick shield, blocking Lin Jun's raging light. After a loud sound, Yin Huang used his powerful strength to block Lin Jun's spear. Although his body swayed a few times, he didn't have to worry about Lin Jun's spatial cut sneak attack. With the shield, Yin Huang stepped on the raging light spear. Let's see how you take back this spear. Before he finished speaking, Lin Jun suddenly pounced in front of him. He shot out an energy ball with one hand and hit it right in his face. You dare to get so close to me? Lin Jun, you're walking right into a trap. Yin Huang roared. He also shot out an energy ball, facing Lin Jun head-on. Boom! The energy in their hands collided fiercely in the air. This was a pure competition of Dantian Qi, a pure competition of star power. Yin Huang wanted to have this kind of effect. He had the support of the starry sky crown, so his star power was almost inexhaustible. Why would he be afraid of competing with Lin Jun in terms of absolute strength? The two of them used almost all of their strength. Just like in the city of ancient God, a dazzling pillar of light soared into the sky. The battle had just begun, but it was already white-hot. Whoever's pure strength wasn't strong enough would definitely be smashed to pieces by the combination of the two energies. If the previous battle between Lin Jun and Yin Huang was mostly watched by ordinary people or warriors who weren't too strong, then today, there were too many people who were paying attention to it. Many experts on the Heavenly Star list and Dark Star list were watching their battle. It wasn't because of anything else, but because of what Yin Huang had said before the battle. The church would unify the world, and the first step of their conquest was China. True experts rarely cared about worldly affairs because they pursued supreme power. Many experts wouldn't care about worldly affairs from time to time if something big happened, such as the destruction of a country. They didn't even care about the mutant beast siege in Ice City. In their opinion, as long as the worldly power was balanced and stable, they didn't care about anything else. But Yin Huang was different this time. This trusted pope actually dared to say that he wanted to conquer China, which made many experts unhappy. Once China was destroyed, experts like them would lose their land of survival. No one wanted to be enslaved by another country or force as a citizen of China. But the experts on the Heavenly Star list wouldn't make a move unless they had no other choice. Therefore, Lin Jun coming out to fight Yin Huang was very much in line with their wishes. If Lin Jun accepted, then everything would be solved. But looking at the way Lin Jun and Yin Huang were fighting, it seemed that the chances of winning were not high. He actually dared to compete with Yin Huang in astral power. Wasn't he courting death? Lin Jun, why did he choose to fight in such a hasty way? Oh no, if Lin Jun loses, then China will really be in danger. Yin Huang is very strong now. If his left arm wasn't suddenly cut off by Lin Jun, and if he didn't have a thorough grasp of Light Fiend, then he would have the strength of someone on the Heavenly Star list. Looks like it's time for us old guys to come out of seclusion. In space, Chun Fenglai and Bi Huai were still talking, and neither of them was optimistic about the outcome of the battle. Sure enough, Lin Jun and Yin Huang were locked in a stalemate for less than 20 seconds, and his astral power was completely suppressed by Yin Huang. Lin Jun felt his arm tremble a little. Looking at the energy gradually moving to his side, he deeply felt the gap between him and Yin Huang. It's still not enough. Although the astral power produced by the Dark Star is very strong, it's still not enough to support me to fight across several levels. After all, the foundation of a martial artist is the main star evolved from the Dantian Qi. The Dark Star is only an auxiliary star. But no matter what, I must win today's battle. Lin Jun clenched his teeth and used the battle plan that he had been brewing for a while. Seeing that he couldn't resist Yin Huang's light element, Lin Jun simply gave up resisting. The sacred artifact self-destructed. The sacred artifact armor in front of Lin Jun's chest released a powerful astral power, forcibly resisting the light element that was about to reach Yin Huang's body. Of course, it was impossible to resist for a long time, but Lin Jun only needed 1,000th of a second. He quickly stooped down and grabbed Yin Huang's ankles with both hands. At this moment, Yin Huang was standing on the ground. He felt that Lin Jun was grabbing his feet, as if he wanted to flip him over. But how could he give Lin Jun such an opportunity? The remnant light energy in his hands fiercely bombarded Lin Jun's back. Boom! Lin Jun practically bore the brunt of this attack. The mental power passport and the liquid metal shell protecting his body were shattered at the same time. The liquid metal unexpectedly couldn't bear Yin Huang's attack and was beaten back to its liquid state. It splashed everywhere and wouldn't be able to recover in a short time. Lin Jun's sacred artifact armor hadn't finished releasing its power and was also completely destroyed by Yin Huang's attack. Lin Jun still had a high-grade astral soft armor inside, which was also destroyed by this attack. Even Lin Jun's body was seriously injured. He couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Lin Jun's body slammed heavily into the ground before bouncing back up. The lightning wings suddenly appeared, sending Lin Jun flying tens of meters away, dodging Yin Huang's sword attack. Yin Huang held the light fiend sword in his hand and pointed at Lin Jun, laughing. Haha, you're finished. This attack took away half of your life. Lin Jun died. Lin Jun held the raging light spear in his hand. This was the spear he had just pulled out from under Yin Huang's feet. Although his injuries were very serious at this moment, he was still brewing Thunderkill. Looking at the electric chi lingering on Lin Jun's spear, Yin Huang sneered. Although your attack is strong, it can only kill things. How can it hit me? As he spoke, the light fiend in his hand shook and was about to give Lin Jun another heavy blow. But just as he was about to move, he almost fell. He felt as if his feet were rooted to the ground. He hurriedly used his sword to support himself on the ground and stood up. Looking down, he saw that his feet were actually sealed to the ground by a thick layer of ice. This is what you did just now. Yin Huang, I used a serious injury in exchange for you being unable to move. Let's see if you can really block my Thunderkill. Chapter 338. Yin Huang would never have dreamed that Lin Jun would actually use such a crooked move in battle. He didn't even hesitate to destroy his own saint artifact and suffer a ruthless blow just to freeze his feet to the ground. Yin Huang couldn't be blamed for this. Lin Jun had many kinds of elemental powers. He always had too many choices in battle, making it impossible to guard against him. Lin Jun didn't even care about his injuries and used all his strength to attack Yin Huang. At this moment, Yin Huang hated Lin Jun to death. He now knew that battle techniques were also a part of battle. If he wanted to rely on his strength to crush Lin Jun, he still had a long way to go. But he wouldn't just sit there and wait for death. He brandished his fiendish light and used his strongest sword to counterattack Lin Jun. At worst, everyone would suffer together. Yin Huang was confident that he wouldn't be killed by Lin Jun's attack. This distance was the best attack range for light elements. Lin Jun was currently seriously injured and shouldn't be able to dodge this attack. A blade of light chopped towards Lin Jun. Yin Huang then used his fiendish light as a shield to resist the Thunderkill. Bang! The ice under Yin Huang's feet shattered. His body was sent flying by the powerful impact. The power of lightning and ice flickered on his body. He already had a broken arm, and now he was injured even more. He thought that his blade of light would be able to end Lin Jun, but he didn't expect that when the blade of light approached, Lin Jun would actually use space folding and disappear into thin air. The blade of light whistled through the air, only cutting off a strand of Lin Jun's hair. In the end, it didn't injure Lin Jun by a hair's breadth. Seeing that his attack had been dodged by Lin Jun, Yin Huang's chest churned with blood. His body fell to the ground in a sorry state, spitting out a mouthful of blood. His left arm hung limply. If Lin Jun attacked again at this time, perhaps he would really lose his life today. Lin Jun also realized this. He hid into the space, dodged the blade of light, and prepared to go out and attack Yin Huang again. Perhaps his absolute strength was far inferior to Yin Huang's, but in terms of battle experience and will, Lin Jun was confident that he could crush this high and mighty pope. But at this moment, a sudden change occurred. In the space in front of Lin Jun, a person appeared without warning. This was a Westerner about 50 years old, with a cloak draped behind him. Lin Jun instinctively had a bad feeling. But at this moment, he was in the space and couldn't move. He could only temporarily stay in the space. He didn't believe that this person would be able to break through space to attack him. This person was Li. Yin Huang's. As soon as Larix appeared, he launched a lightning-fast attack. He had the invisible cloak, a sacred artifact that could make him completely invisible. He also had the realm-breaking nail, a sacred artifact that could pierce through space. The first thing he did was to forcibly break through Lin Jun's folded space and pierce Lin Jun's lower abdomen. This nail directly pierced into Lin Jun's Dantian Qi Si. Lin Jun's figure appeared in the space, and he looked at the realm-breaking nail in his abdomen in disbelief. He could clearly feel that this attack had already pierced into his Dantian Qi Si. The obscure, dark energy on top of it had actually completely suppressed his Dantian Qi, causing him to be unable to summon even a trace of Dantian Qi, a sacred artifact that attacks space. Li El sneered. You have some knowledge, but it's too late. Lin Jun, Dantian Qi, is the foundation of a martial artist. This realm-breaking nail will stay in your Dantian forever, suppressing your Dantian Qi so that it can no longer grow. What can you do without Dantian Qi? In the distance, Yin Huang looked at Li El and shouted in surprise, Teacher, you finally appeared. Li El turned back to look at Yin Huang. Of course, you should know that your teacher doesn't make a move, but when I do, it must be effective. I've been looking for this opportunity for far too long. Only when Lin Jun escapes into space is the best time to attack, because at that time, he can't move and can't dodge. He can only obediently let me attack. Teacher is really amazing. Yin Huang still couldn't get up, but he was incomparably strong. The realm-breaking nail was an item that sealed a martial artist's Dantian. Lin Jun was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. There was absolutely no chance for him to fight back. Haha, hurry up and recover. I'll leave this Lin Jun for you to deal with. Li El turned to look at Lin Jun. Kid, I advise you not to make any more pointless struggles. Once the realm-breaking nail is used, a martial artist will never have the chance to advance. From now on, you'll be crippled. Letting my disciple, Yin Huang, take your life is already a mercy to you. Lin Jun lowered his head and felt that his Dantian Qi was not moving at all. He knew that Li El was right. His Dantian Qi of the quasi-star realm could no longer be used. But Lin Jun's battle wasn't over yet. Lin Jun looked at Li El, who was boasting in front of him without any scruples. He took a deep breath and suddenly attacked like lightning. 7-star blade, strangulation. Even if he didn't use his Dantian Qi, his spiritual force was still very strong. Li El's face was serious. He took out a sword. He only needed to block the 7-star blade for a while, and he believed that Lin Jun would fall. He just needed to stall for time. 7 throwing knives flew up and down around Li El, and Lin Jun himself seemed to become more and more dispirited. This made Li El believe that he had no power to fight back, so he focused on the 7-star blade. Lin Jun suddenly attacked. With the support of the lightning wings, he appeared in front of Li El in an instant. Bang! Lin Jun hugged Li El tightly, using the lightning wings to protect several vital parts of his body. No matter how much Li El struggled to fight back, he didn't let go. Several 7-star blades came at him again. Larix had never dreamed that Lin Jun would be able to launch such a powerful attack. He had a feeling that the Dantian Qi imprisonment didn't have much of an effect on Lin Jun. However, Larix was not a simple character on the Dark Star list. He was not in a hurry to attack Lin Jun. Instead, he used his long sword to protect himself. Since Lin Jun was behind him, all he needed to do was to block the path of the 7-star blade. If he concentrated all his power on Lin Jun, he might have been killed by the 7-star blade. Larix wasn't that stupid. Lin Jun also saw Larix's intention to delay, but he didn't want to delay any longer. The water, fire, light, lightning, wind, and earth blades were still flying in front of Larix, while the gold flying dagger was under Lin Jun's control and flew towards his back. Now, in front of the world, Lin Jun was holding Larix tightly in his arms. Larix was blocking Lin Jun's flying daggers with his long sword. Yin Huang was seriously injured. Everyone heard that Lin Jun's Dantian Qi had been sealed, which meant that Lin Jun could only use his spiritual force. If this wave of throwing knives didn't kill Larix, the one who would die would be Lin Jun. However, when they saw the flying dagger piercing through Lin Jun's back, almost everyone who cared about Lin Jun shouted, "No, no, Lin Jun! Big brother Lin, what are you doing?" Lin Jun didn't hear anyone's call. He had to kill Larix as soon as possible. Today's battle couldn't be delayed any longer. Yin Huang's attack was very heavy, and now that he was injured, he needed to rest. Everyone in the world saw that the flying dagger pierced through Lin Jun's back, but Larix was in front of Lin Jun, so he couldn't see it. Therefore, there was no suspense. Lin Jun's flying dagger first pierced his chest, then pierced Larix's heart. The only difference was that Lin Jun avoided the position of his heart, but Larix couldn't. The flying dagger broke through his chest, and Larix's heart was cut. He looked at the flying dagger in disbelief, then turned his head and looked at Lin Jun's face with blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. You are so cruel." After Larix finished speaking, he didn't even wait for Lin Jun's reply. He fell on his back and died on the spot. Lin Jun was also extremely uncomfortable at this moment. With this attack, Lin Jun was also seriously injured. He didn't even have the ability to kill Yin Huang, although he still had astral power. The Dark Star was not in the same space as the Dantian Qi, so was not affected by the confinement of the Dantian Qi. Sealing the Dantian Qi only weakened a part of his strength, but it did not seal his strongest fighting strength. After killing Larix, Lin Jun didn't have the ability to fight anymore. After receiving Yin Huang's fierce blow, his injuries were already very serious. He was holding on with his last breath, wanting to give Yin Huang the final blow. But now, not only was his Dantian Qi sealed, his abdomen was also heavily injured. He had to find a place to heal immediately. Otherwise, he might not even be able to defeat the city guards who were eyeing him covetously. He looked at Yin Huang with regret. Today, he tried his best to scheme and gained the upper hand twice, but he didn't kill Yin Huang twice. It seemed that this guy was not destined to die. It seemed that he could only wait for the next opportunity. Lin Jun flapped the thunderlight wings behind him. He almost completely relied on the speed of this sacred item to carry himself away. He couldn't even fly freely. Seeing Lin Jun leave, Yin Huang opened his mouth, but in the end, he didn't stop Lin Jun. His injuries were also very serious. If he forced himself to chase after Lin Jun, he might not have a good ending. He didn't expect that his second fight with Lin Jun would still end in a lose-lose situation, even though his strength had greatly increased. This made him extremely depressed. A sudden encounter caused by Lin Jun's rescue of her parents ended just like that. Yin Huang was seriously injured, and so was Lin Jun. However, Lin Jun killed two experts, Holif and Larix, in this battle and smoothly left. This battle was actually Lin Jun's victory. The world's public opinion was once again biased towards Lin Jun. More and more people were quitting the church. The decline seemed to be irreversible. This time, Yin Huang didn't make any efforts to make up for it. He had already let it all happen. Chapter 339. Lin Jun's battle in Constantinople had a lasting impact. Facing the combined attacks of Yin Huang, Holif, and Larix, three experts, Lin Jun had actually been able to kill Holif and Larix, and even heavily injure Yin Huang. No one doubted Lin Jun's combat strength. Some people even said that he was the #1 human genius since the beginning of the God transformation era. Some people had already said that, but some people didn't agree. However, there was one thing that worried people. Larix had inserted the boundary-breaking nail into Lin Jun's body. It would suppress Lin Jun's Dantian and prevent him from leveling up. If that happened, Lin Jun would never have any hope of leveling up. No one knew where Lin Jun had gone. After leaving Constantinople, Lin Jun had disappeared without a trace. No one could find him. People guessed that he had gone to treat his injuries, but the world was so big that no one would know where he was. However, one thing was for sure. Lin Jun was still alive. After Lin Jun killed Larix, he had entered the Dark Star list. Larix was ranked 32nd on the Dark Star list. After Lin Jun killed him, he was now ranked in the top 50 of the Dark Star list. He could be considered a true master. As long as this ranking didn't change, it meant that Lin Jun was still fine. This made many people who were worried about Lin Jun feel relieved. The Pope's wedding also didn't happen. The Vatican also quieted down. China's withdrawal from the church was like a wave after wave. Other than Bingsheng, there were almost no church members left in the other Bay cities. China originally had about 300 million followers, but now there were less than 3 million. Although the other countries didn't withdraw as much as China, their numbers were still increasing. The church originally had 1 billion followers, but after being tortured by Lin Jun for so long, there were less than 300 million followers left. Moreover, this number was constantly decreasing. He did not know how long the divine sect, which only had about 200 million people left, could hold on. As for what Yin Huang said about leading the people of the divine religion to conquer the world and conquer China, people snorted in contempt. If even Lin Jun couldn't conquer China, how could he conquer China? Save it. Lin Jun's parents returned to Bing City. This time, they were protected by the government. The higher-ups of Huaxia announced that Lin Jun's family was under the protection of the country. Anyone who dared to harm them would be an enemy of Huaxia. No one in Huaxia objected to this privilege. This was something that Lin Jun deserved. Previously, it had always been Lin Jun protecting them. Now that Lin Jun wasn't here, it was their turn to protect Lin Jun's parents. And Ning even handed over all her business to her family. She personally moved into Lin Jun's home to live with Lin Jun's parents and take care of them. There was no movement from the Holy See, and Lin Jun was nowhere to be found. Everything seemed to have quieted down. In Constantinople, Yin Huang waved his arm a few times. After 10 days of continuous treatment, his left arm had finally recovered. Although his arm had recovered, the anger in his heart hadn't subsided. The Holy See had lost a lot of face in this battle. He didn't expect that he, Halaf, and Larix couldn't kill Lin Jun together. They even lost 2 of their lives. Now, he didn't expect to conquer the world with his teachings. He wanted to rely on his strength. Light flashed in front of Yin Huang's eyes. Shu Mingxuan's water mirror image appeared in front of Yin Huang again. "Is your injury okay?" Shu Mingxian asked. "It's fully recovered. Even if I face Lin Jun again, I believe I can win. Enough." Shu Mingxian waved his hand impatiently. Yin Huang's strength was indeed above Lin Jun's, but so what? In the end, he still lost. In a situation where the difference in strength wasn't too big, the proportion of skill was very large. Lin Jun was indeed a combat genius. He had killed his doppelganger, Halaf, and Larix. Even Shu Mingxian had to admit defeat. Let's not talk about Lin Jun first. He was hit by that realm-piercing nail. He probably won't be able to level up in the future. Your mission now is to quickly find him and conquer Huaxia immediately. That's the most important thing. Shu Mingxian was indeed very anxious. He contacted Xin and Tuyo again yesterday. There were only 10 days before they arrived on Earth. If they arrived here and he didn't make any achievements, then no matter how much he gained in the future, Shu Mingxian wouldn't be the only one to take the credit. Therefore, he had to encourage Yin Huang to conquer Huaxia before Xin and Tuyo arrived. That was the most important thing. "Lord Shu Mingxian, please don't worry. I'm going to Iceland now. I'll wait for your good news. You can make things more serious. Because when you were fighting with Lin Jun, you forgot to mention that the Vatican was going to conquer Huaxia. I heard that many people in Huaxia are even preparing to unite and resist the Vatican. Therefore, you must get the support of those monks." Yin Huang nodded to show that he understood. He also heard the news. There were indeed many experts in Huaxia who were preparing to unite and resist the Vatican. However, because the Vatican hadn't made any moves, they didn't make any moves either. However, once the Vatican really went on an expedition to the east, a large number of Huaxia warriors would definitely resist. There was no doubt about that. No matter how many difficulties there were in front of him, Yin Huang had to continue on this path. After ending the call with Shu Mingxian, Yin Huang drove the Black Ghost and went straight to Iceland in the northwest. Iceland was located in the middle of the ocean. Moreover, it wasn't very big. Sea beasts often came ashore. This was the most difficult place. When the Black Ghost arrived above Iceland, Yin Huang even sucked in a breath of cold air. A large school of strange fish was attacking a group of people. There were octopuses that were as tall as small mountains, sharks that were bigger than submarines, giant turtles that weighed hundreds of tons, and countless types of fish. It was a shocking sight. Among these sea beasts, the weakest was at least grade S. Yin Huang saw that the giant octopus was even a grade SSS mutated beast. This thing was even more powerful than 10,000 enemies. If it came to land, it would definitely cause a disaster. Such a large school of strange fish was attacking more than 30 people in white robes at the foot of a volcano. These people were all wearing white priest robes. However, the white robes were very old and had patches stacked on top of each other. Everyone's style was somewhat similar. They all had long white hair and white beards, and they all looked very old. However, under the siege of these strange fish, the white-bearded old men's performance was extremely shocking. The old man in the lead had a tall figure. When he saw the giant octopus pouncing over, he only put his hands together and said, "First group, get ready. Light's judgment." The 10 people in white robes on the left side attacked together. The light energy on their bodies gathered and rushed toward the old man in the lead. At this moment, the old man was like a luminous body. The strong light on his body was getting stronger and stronger. He was like a supernova that was about to explode. His hands fiercely pushed toward the octopus. The huge light beam was 3 meters thick. Wherever it passed, everything was vaporized, including the great SSS octopus. This move left Yin Huang a little dumbfounded. These old fogies were too powerful. Every one of them was at least at the star realm. There weren't even early or middle star core realm. At the very least, they were grade 7 or grade 8 star core realm. Moreover, those at the core realm were the minority here. Most of them were at the meteor realm. They ranged from meteor realm 1 to meteor realm 9. Yin Huang saw that the tall old man in the lead had actually reached the comet realm. Yin Huang was secretly excited. He didn't expect that there would be comet realm experts among these ascetics. Usually, if one wanted to see comet realm experts in the world, they could only look for them on the heavenly star list. There were basically no comet realm experts on the dark star list. Moreover, these ascetics were clearly able to launch a joint attack. They could use some kind of secret technique to gather their strength. This way, they could easily kill great SSS mutated beasts. Yin Huang believed that as long as they were given enough people, they might even be able to kill great SSS super mutated beasts in one move. After killing the largest mutated beast, the ascetics began to attack one after another. They quickly slaughtered this group of huge sea monsters. The tall ascetics dug out the mutated octopus crystal, then looked up at the sky. Without saying a word, he led the group of ascetics into the distance. Yin Huang hurriedly got down from the aircraft and followed behind these ascetics. The ascetics ignored Yin Huang. After walking for about half an hour, they were far away from the coastline and came to a group of thatched cottages. There were more than 100 thatched cottages, and each cottage had an ascetic living in it. Yin Huang walked over, but no one cared about him. These ascetics seemed to be very busy. They were either reciting teachings, meditating, or mending clothes. Some were even preparing dinner. Seeing that the ascetics were about to eat, Yin Huang hurriedly ran over to a few of the ascetics who were cooking. "Seniors, I'm the first Pope of the Vatican, Yin Huang. I'm also the third Holy Son of Light. Your life here is too poor. Let me improve it for everyone." As he spoke, Yin Huang took out things from his spatial ring. He had prepared all kinds of meat, wine, dishes, and so on. However, none of these ascetic cultivators even looked at it. Some of them even had looks of disgust on their faces as they burned the piece of meat Yin Huang handed to them in ashes. After several failed attempts, Yin Huang finally learned his lesson. He changed out of his luxurious clothes and put on the first set of priest robes that he had worn when he had just become an adult. This robe had been worn for more than 10 years. Finally, it was not so eye-catching among this group of old men. The ascetics looked at Yin Huang with a slightly gentler gaze. When it was time to eat, everyone only had a bowl of water and some vegetables in front of them. These ascetics sat and prayed devoutly. Yin Huang also prayed. After praying, Yin Huang also received a bowl of water and a piece of vegetables. He chewed slowly. Chapter 340. However, things were not as simple as Yin Huang thought. After the meal, the leader of the ascetics spoke to Yin Huang. The tall ascetic was the leader of this group of ascetics. The more Yin Huang looked at him, the more familiar he felt. "We know you, Yin Huang Lucifer. Why are you here?" Hearing this person speak, Yin Huang hurriedly said, "How should I address you, sir?" The tall ascetic smiled and said, "I wore your holy light suit 400 years ago." Ah, Yin Huang, who was still a little arrogant, was stunned. The holy light suit was not something that ordinary people could wear. To wear it, one had to master the light atom. Since this tall old man said that he had worn it 400 years ago, there was only one possibility. This old man was the previous holy son, Baccio. You are Senior Baccio?" The tall old man nodded slightly and tidied his white hair, revealing a vaguely recognizable face. Yin Huang hurriedly left his seat and bowed to Baccio. The other ascetics were expressionless. Yin Huang no longer dared to put on airs as the Pope. He told the whole story with exaggerated details and finally showed all the ascetics the video that Xu Mingxian had brought. This move was indeed effective. Next to Baho were two ascetics who had reached the comet stage. Their ages were unknown, and their clothes had more than 20 layers of patches. The three of them, as well as the ascetics, were all very excited. "There really is a true God. Oh my God! I have been cultivating for 300 years and finally saw a true God." Many of the ascetics were so excited that they couldn't control themselves. Only Baho was excited, but he didn't say anything. When the people around him calmed down, Baho said to Yin Huang, "Mr. Yin Huang, why did you show us this? Is the true God coming to Earth?" Yin Huang hurriedly waved his hand. "No, it's not like that. The true God is not coming, but the true God's army is coming to Earth." "Oh, what's going on?" "Seniors, the current situation is very urgent. Our Holy See has encountered an unprecedented survival crisis and is being challenged by the forces of the East. The messenger of the true God, Xu Mingxian, has clearly told us that if we want to have a place in the kingdom of the true God, then we must cooperate with the army of the true God. Before the army arrives, we must conquer this world, or at least conquer Huaxia." Yin Huang also brought a large amount of data. During this period of time, the number of people who believed in the divine religion had plummeted. The number was only 1/5 of the peak. All of the ascetics were great divinity sects from all over the world for hundreds of years. They no longer had the concept of a country in their hearts, but the concept of religion was still deeply buried in their hearts. Seeing the current situation of the Holy See, these people were also heartbroken. However, none of them took the initiative to offer to help Yin Huang in this expedition to the east. Instead, they all turned their attention to Baccio. As the previous holy son, Baho was the leader of these people. Everyone was waiting for him to make the decision. After a moment of silence, Baho finally opened his eyes. "We ascetics have been living in Iceland for a long time. We never fight with others. I don't like to fight with others. Yin Huang, you should go back." Yin Huang knew that things wouldn't be so easy. He hurriedly said to Baho, "Mr. Baho, don't rush to object. I want you to meet someone." Yin Huang immediately contacted Xu Mingxian with his mobile phone. Soon, the space in front of them broke open, and a light curtain gradually appeared, like a water mirror space. Xu Mingxian appeared in front of everyone in a captain's uniform. Counting his age, Xu Mingxian is more than 1,000 years old. He basically knows the previous information of these ascetics. For this conquest plan, Xu Mingxian has sorted out the previous information. He can even name every ascetic and their biographies. Xu Mingxian also emphasized the importance of this expedition, hoping that the ascetics can take the overall situation into consideration and help the Holy See. Baho still didn't say anything. Finally, Xu Mingxian connected a video. It's the picture of the Sky River Empire's army. In the picture, huge interstellar battleships are sailing in the starry sky, passing through wormholes one by one. Large battleships are like a beehive, surrounded by small battleships and aircraft like locusts covering the sky. Their momentum is definitely not comparable to the army on Earth. Xu Mingxian said to Bajio and the other ascetics, "Everyone, the Empire's army has been activated. When the time comes, all resistance forces on Earth will collapse. If the majority of people believe in the God religion, then the fate of the people on Earth will be completely different in the Empire." Yin Huang also added, "Yes, although the expedition to the east seems to cause some losses, we are not just doing it for our own interests. This will be the price we have to pay to become a civilization. When people wake up in the future, they will realize how much effort we put into this." These ascetics don't like fame and fortune, but they really can't resist such righteousness. Baho's expression finally relaxed. It turns out that there's really an extraterrestrial civilization, the army of the true God. Yes, if we don't hurry up and let the church unify Earth, then when the army of the true God arrives, it will be too late for us to do anything. All right, then let's go. Baho finally made up his mind. Since he had made up his mind, Baho didn't hesitate. He said to Yin Huang, "I have seen your battle videos. Although your strength is not bad, you can't gain the upper hand in the battle with Lin Zhan. We will give you a week of special training here to improve your strength." Yin Huang was overjoyed when he heard this and quickly nodded in agreement. With the help of this group of ascetics, Yin Huang was confident that he could unify the world in the future and improve his strength. Who wouldn't like this? After Lin Zhan left Constantinople, he felt that his injuries were very serious. In addition to his internal and external injuries, the most important thing was that Lin Zhan's Dantian Qi had been sealed. After swallowing a healing pill and bandaging his external injuries, Lin Zhan leaned on the sofa of the aircraft and closed his eyes. Having his Dantian Qi sealed would be the end of the world for ordinary warriors, but not for Lin Zhan. Not to mention that his Dark Star power wasn't sealed, he still had the combat power of a Star Realm warrior. However, compared to his peak, his combat power was 1/3 weaker. After all, it was very troublesome to have his Dantian sealed. As long as Lin Zhan didn't reveal his Dark Star power, Lin Zhan didn't even look like a warrior at the moment. He didn't have a trace of Dantian Qi. Now, in addition to healing my injuries, I have to find a way to recover my Dantian Qi. Lin Zhan began to recall his memories. It wasn't that the Dantian Qi had never been sealed before. After the invasion of the extraterrestrial civilization, all kinds of new weapons had appeared. Things like the realm-piercing nail were not rare, and there were even other things that could seal Dantian Qi. It wasn't particularly difficult to break the seal of the Dantian Qi. According to Lin Zhan's knowledge, a few ordinary medicines and a large number of dark energy stones were dissolved together and refined with a high-temperature flame to create the dark flame medicine. It could calcine and dissolve foreign objects in the Dantian. Even if I can recover my Dantian Qi, it won't be long before the Holy See invades Huaxia again. With my current strength, although I can participate in the war, I'm afraid I won't be of much use. Lin Zhan knew of the existence of the ascetic monks. When Yin Huang said that he wanted to conquer Huaxia, the first thing he thought of was those ascetic monks. These ascetic monks were very powerful. In his previous life, when the extraterrestrial civilization descended, those ascetic monks fought against the invaders and even destroyed a medium-sized fleet. However, they were ambushed and wiped out in the end. If the ascetic monks attacked Huaxia, it would definitely be a difficult battle. Moreover, Lin Zhan felt that the Holy See's invasion was not far away. It was very likely that it would happen in the near future. Besides recovering his Dantian Qi, he also had to continue to improve his strength. The Dark Star has just formed. It's impossible to make a breakthrough in a short time. Even if my Dantian Qi wants to break through to the Star Realm, it won't be possible in a short time. The only way is to learn a new spear technique. My spear art immovable mountain, is considered a defensive martial skill. However, the true profoundness of the spear is its offense. Although I have learned the river flipping, it has been very difficult for me to rely on my powerful offense to suppress my opponents in my battles. This shows that my understanding of the profoundness of the spear art's offense is still insufficient. However, there are too few people in the world who can master the attack of the spear. As far as I know, in my previous life, only one person in Huaxia was able to do this. Moreover, his original strength was not even as good as Zhang Guanyue, who taught me immovable mountain. This person was discovered by chance in my previous life. He was only an intermediate warrior. He didn't receive any training from any school, nor did he have a master. However, he was extremely obsessed with spear techniques. His name is Zhang Ye. He's just a retired soldier from Langfang Bay City's satellite town. He's now an instructor at a fitness club. The people he teaches are even ordinary people. His goal is to strengthen their bodies. If I go there like this, I'm afraid that I'll cause a lot of trouble. If I want to learn his spear techniques quietly, I'm afraid I'll have to change my appearance and enter the world of ordinary people. Lin Zhan adjusted the aircraft to autopilot and flew in the direction of Huaxia Bay City. Then, he took out his phone and ordered a mask on the website of the Ministry of Science and Technology. This was a high-tech material similar to skin. Wearing it would make you look like a different person. However, it was very expensive. One mask cost tens of millions. Of course, 10 million was nothing to Lin Zhan. He chose an above-average-looking face that was about his age and took a photo. The location of the purchase was outside Langfang Bay City. Chapter 341. It took the aircraft 4 hours to fly from the outskirts of Constantinople to the vicinity of Huaxia's capital city. Langfang is a satellite city of Huaxia's capital city. It has a population of 4 million people. It was considered a large city in the Christian era. Lin Zhan landed outside the city and put on his metal mask. He contacted the delivery man and received the mask. There was another benefit to buying this mask, which was that it came with an ID card. Of course, this was a privilege that only warlords and above had. Lin Zhan certainly had this qualification. As soon as he showed his identity, the delivery man immediately became respectful. However, Lin Zhan wasn't worried that the delivery man would reveal his whereabouts. He still had some credibility when it came to online shopping. Lin Zhan put on the mask and looked at himself in the mirror. It was a young man's face. He didn't look as handsome as Lin Zhan himself, but he was still above average. Combined with Lin Zhan's tall and straight body, he looked quite handsome. However, the scars on his body were a bit of an eyesore. Lin Zhan kept the aircraft and followed the people who entered the city into the corridor. He didn't remember where Zhang Ye's gym was, but it should be in the civilian district. It was easy to distinguish between the civilian district and the warrior district. The more prosperous and wealthy a place was the warrior district, and the more chaotic and ordinary a place was the civilian district. Lin Zhan came to the slums and found a relatively clean hotel to stay in. His ID card name was Chun Fan, and he was from my city. He booked a room under this name. Lin Zhan entered the room and began to heal his wounds. With the recovery of light molecules and a variety of medicine, Lin Zhan looked fine on the outside after 3 days. He didn't slack off during these 3 days. He finally found the gym where Zhang Ye was. Zhang Ye's living conditions weren't very good. Although he was a warrior, he couldn't use his original strength because of his injuries. He was no different from an ordinary person. He could only muddle along in the gym and barely maintain his family. He had a wife and children at home. He was a very ordinary member of the public. The fitness center was called the Cloud Sky Fitness Center. It wasn't far from the hotel, and Zhang Ye was the equipment coach there. The fitness centers of today were very different from the fitness centers of the AD era. In addition to some basic fitness classes, there were also martial art classes. After all, this was the end of the world. Even if one was not a martial artist, almost everyone had learned a few moves. Lin Zhan had changed into ordinary sportswear. He simply tidied himself up and put on a mask to cover his face. His Dantian Qi was not released at all. He looked just like an ordinary young man. After leaving the hotel, Lin Zhan went straight to the Yuntian Fitness Center. "Hello, sir. Do you have a membership card?" The receptionist at the front desk looked delicate and pretty, giving people a good feeling. No, I'll make one. Okay, we have 3 types of membership cards: ordinary membership card, gold membership card, and platinum membership card. Ordinary membership card costs 3,000 yuan a year, gold membership costs 10,000 yuan a year, and platinum membership costs 30,000 yuan a year. Which one do you want? What's the difference? Ordinary membership card allows you to use the fitness equipment in the hall without the guidance of a coach. Gold membership card allows you to have the guidance of a coach, and platinum membership card allows you to attend classes taught by martial artists. I'll make a platinum membership card. Lin Jun took out 30,000 yuan and put it in front of the receptionist. Okay, sir. I'll make it right away. The receptionist beamed with joy. She didn't expect to be able to make a platinum membership card today. This way, she would get a commission. After a while, the platinum membership card was ready. The receptionist handed the card and ID card to Lin Jun. Mr. Chun, we have more than 10 fitness coaches here. You can choose which class you want to attend. You can choose a maximum of 3 classes. Lin Jun picked up a flyer and looked at it. The first page was full of beautiful women. Do you want to swim freely in the water like a fish? Yi will teach you how to swim step by step. A hot beauty in a bikini stroked her hair coquettishly. Her eyes were full of lust. Close combat wrestling. Learn it for a month. I guarantee you can beat 3 people at once. Yin Air will teach you personally. It was another girl in a Taoist uniform. She looked a little interesting, but Lin Jun could tell at a glance that she was only a level 2 warrior. She was not much stronger than an ordinary person. The essence of jiu-jitsu. Xiaoyu can pose for you in any position. This was a slender beauty. She could easily do a negative split. Moreover, her clothes were very thin. Men who saw her couldn't help but let their imaginations run wild. Lin Jun was speechless. What was the use of learning these things? He didn't know what kind of people were attending these classes. Lin Jun flipped to the last page and asked the receptionist, "Are there no male classes?" Are you not satisfied with these beauties?" The receptionist was taken aback. "I think I've made myself clear. I want to see the male classes." Lin Jun was speechless. Did he look like he was here to pick up girls? Lin Jun didn't want to waste time with this ignorant woman. He looked around the male classes and quickly found the equipment instructor, Zhang Ye, on the last page. There was also an introduction about Zhang Ye. He was originally a soldier in the army. He retired after being injured in a battle organized by the army to clear out mutant beasts. He was a level 5 warrior and excelled in melee combat. This Zhang Ye was quite handsome. He was well-defined and manly. He was 27 years old. I'll take his class. Okay, it will be done soon. Lin Jun smiled. He didn't speak to the receptionist anymore. He waited until everything was done and turned to leave. There were quite a lot of people in the hall. Lin Jun walked through the crowd and went directly to the equipment training room. He knocked on the door and entered. There were about a dozen people inside. Lin Jun saw Zhang Ye and handed in his paperwork. Zhang Ye was about 1.8 meters tall. He was teaching a group of students how to play with sticks. There were both boys and girls among these students. They were holding a white wooden stick and twirling it back and forth, looking like they were doing something right. Zhang Ye walked over and looked at Lin Jun. "What kind of equipment do you want to learn?" "Spear." "Then wait a moment. We'll start teaching spear skills soon. You can familiarize yourself with the equipment here first." Lin Jun nodded and went to the weapon rack. There were a lot of weapons on it. There were knives, spears, swords, halberds, but none of them were sharpened. Lin Jun picked up a red tasseled spear. It was so light that it made him feel uncomfortable. He felt that it was only 6 or 7 kilograms. He put the red tasseled spear back and picked up a stick. It was quite flexible, but it was too light. He wasn't interested in it. After picking up the weapons one by one, Lin Jun sat on a bench and waited for the training to end. After a few minutes, Zhang Ye clapped his hands. "It's about time. Let's take a break. The spear skill class will start in 10 minutes. Those who are willing to learn can stay." These people entered the resting area one by one. Some chose to leave, leaving 6 or 7 people behind. Zhang Ye also drank some water and took a break. He looked at Lin Jun and then waved at Lin Jun. "Come here." Lin Jun walked over. Zhang Ye asked him, "Chun Fan, do you want to learn spear skills?" Lin Jun nodded slightly. Yes, I want to learn your best spear skills. Zhanya laughed. Then I'm afraid you've come to the wrong place. I don't have any skills, and my spear skills are just average. If you want to learn real spear skills, you should go to a proper dojo, such as Live Phone or Tulong. Instructor, I'm not a martial artist. I can't go to those places. I'm satisfied to be able to learn from you. All right then. Since you insist on learning, I'll see if you have any foundation in spear skills. Lin Jun nodded. He walked over and took out a red tasseled spear. He shook it up and down a few times. He didn't use much strength, but the string of spear moves still made the eyes of the people around him brighten. Lin Jun didn't use his real skills, but this move was definitely acceptable to ordinary people. He thought that Zhanya would think more highly of him because of this, but he didn't expect Zhanya to frown. I'm only teaching ordinary spear skills. I see that when you casually move, there's a murderous aura. You must have killed people or mutated beasts before. Lin Jun was stunned for a moment. This Zhanya really had some skills. He had killed too many people and mutated beasts with his spear. Even a casual move would have a murderous aura. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to see it, but Zhanya could. Yes, I've killed a few small mutated beasts. Lin Jun nodded. You already have a good foundation in spear skills. Why are you still here to learn? Zhanya asked. To protect the country, to go to war and kill the enemy. Lin Jun had also studied Zhang Ye's situation for the past few days. This person was a standard soldier. He also had the hot-bloodedness of a soldier. He was a righteous person, so he should be more inclined to these principles. Sure enough, after hearing Lin Jun's high-sounding reason, Zhang Ye's face showed a bit of appreciation. Although your reason is almost impossible to achieve, since you have a heart, then I can give you something. Lin Jun was overjoyed. He looked at Zhang Ye expectantly. Zhang Ye walked far away and took a rope and handed it to Lin Jun. Lin Jun looked at the rope. At the very front, there was a sharp point, like the tip of a spear. This rope is called a rope spear. Take this rope. When you can use a rope spear to pierce through a wooden board, I'll teach you some skills. Zhang Ye pointed to a corner in the distance. There was a wooden board standing there. It looked about 10 centimeters thick. Lin Jun was stunned for a moment. The rope was soft. How could it pierce through a wooden board? Zhang Ye didn't continue to pay attention to Lin Jun. Instead, he called the other students to start his new lesson. Seeing that Zhang Ye had started training, Lin Jun went to the corner. The wooden board in front of him was solid wood. It was very thick and strong. He could see that there were some marks on it. It should have been made by the rope, but there wasn't a single hole. It seemed that Zhang Ye had used this trick to make things difficult for many people. Chapter 342. Lin Jun picked up the rope in his hand, but he didn't know what to do for a while. The rope was soft, and if he didn't inject star power or Dantian Qi into it, it wouldn't be able to stand up. He tried to swing the rope at the wooden board twice, but the soft force couldn't make a gun move at all. However, Lin Jun didn't look for Zhang Ye. This person shouldn't be so bored as to come and play with him. It should be that he hadn't mastered the technique yet. Lin Jun started to struggle with the rope and began to constantly try to use the rope to attack the wooden board. However, the only thing he could do for the time being was to swing the rope and whip it up. He didn't use too much strength, but he controlled his strength to be a little stronger than the average person, so as to avoid cracking the wooden board if he swung the rope too fiercely. He didn't know how long he repeated this, but Lin Jun really did master a little bit of the technique. In the process of swinging the rope, when it was swung straight, it could be made to stab forward with the rotation of the body. As Lin Jun gradually became more familiar with it, the front end of the rope finally pierced the wooden board. But that was it. This kind of rope couldn't really pierce the wooden board. After all, the physical principle was there, and the weight was too light. When he swung the rope, the sound of clapping came from behind. Lin Jun looked back, and there was no one in the equipment room. Only Zhang Ye was standing behind Lin Jun, watching him. Instructor. Well done. You can actually make the rope pierce the wooden board so quickly. I really haven't seen a talented young man like you in a long time. It's a pity that you don't want to be a warrior. I'm just casually practicing. I don't deserve the instructor's praise. Don't say that. I like people who work hard. Your performance today made me recognize you. Let's go, it's time to get off work. Lin Jun realized that a few hours had passed, and it was already nighttime. He followed Zhang Ye out of the Yuntian Fitness Center. Zhang Ye was going home. Lin Jun didn't immediately return to the hotel. Instead, he drove his own car to send Zhang Ye home. The car was still the Raptor off-road, but Lin Jun didn't have a chance to drive it in the past 2 years. Now that he was back in the city, it finally came in handy. Seeing Lin Jun's Raptor off-road, Zhang Ye also praised, "Nice car. I didn't expect you to be a rich second generation." How is this considered rich? At most, it's at the level of moderately well-off. Don't be modest. Zhang, yes. Zhang Yisong, you paused for a moment. There are martial artists in your family, right? Looking at your spear skills, you should have learned from a martial artist. Instructor, aren't you also a martial artist? Lin Jun started the car and sent him home under Zhang Ye's guidance. What kind of martial artist am I? I'm not even worth mentioning. Lin Jun didn't dwell on the topic. It might be related to Zhang Ye's sad past. He drove him all the way home. Before he left, Zhang Ye suddenly asked, "Chun Fan, do you really want to go to the battlefield?" "Of course I will. Can you guarantee it?" "I guarantee it with my life." When Lin Jun said this, he used a little bit of soul energy. This was still very shocking to ordinary people. Zhang Ye couldn't help but believe Lin Jun's words. "Sai, why do you have to do this? It's better to leave the war to the martial artists. Ordinary people like you and me will only die if we go to the battlefield. I don't have to go to the front line. I can kill some small mutant beasts and cooperate with my teammates. There's no harm in learning more. Plus, I really like shooting." "Well, since you have a heart, then come with me. How much you can learn will depend on your luck." Zhang Ye got out of the car and opened the door. Lin Jun was secretly happy. He quickly followed Zhang Ye into the yard. Zhang Ye went into the house first. His wife and children were at home, but they didn't come out. He took out a rope from the house. "Since you sincerely want to learn and have the talent for shooting, then I will tell you something. If you can really learn it, then it means that you have the opportunity to learn my shooting skills." Zhang Ye took out a large basin filled with water and soaked the rope in it. After about half an hour, the rope was completely soaked. Zhang Ye fished it out. "Chun Fan, do you know the origin of the spear and the 3 realms?" Lin Jun thought for a while. "I know a little. The spear was the earliest weapon of mankind. It was made of metal, and the handle was made of wood. It was a weapon that humans used to fight with beasts. Later on, it gradually evolved into 3 realms. It is said that when you first learn it, you can achieve a state where falling leaves won't stick to your body. When you reach the next level, you can even achieve a state where your hair won't flutter in the wind." "That's right, it's like that. But that's because you want to pursue speed and extreme speed. When I first started practicing, I also followed this direction. But I'm very ashamed. My talent is limited. In the end, I couldn't even achieve a state where falling leaves won't stick to my body. So I had to find another way." Zhang Ye slowly raised the rope in his hand and came to a wooden plank in the yard. "Because I'm not talented enough, I've been thinking about how a spear can kill in one shot so that no one can block it. Many people said that my idea was delusional, but I don't think so. The spear is the king of all weapons. Its essence is to kill with one shot. So I practiced according to this method." Lin Jun listened quietly. He suddenly felt that Zhang Ye's idea might be close to the core of spear arts. "I heard that during the Christian calendar, martial artists could soak cloth in water to form a cloth stick. A cloth stick filled with water could even crack a stone. I thought that if I could pierce a wooden board with a spear made of rope, I would definitely be able to do it. So I specially practiced this move for a long time. Maybe a fool has a little fool's luck. My seemingly ridiculous actions actually helped me achieve something in the end." He turned around and looked at Lin Jun. "I'll show you one more time." Lin Jun nodded and watched Zhang Ye's movements. Zhang Ye swung the soaked rope spear in his hand. Hoo. Under Lin Jun's astonished gaze, the rope spear in Zhang Ye's hand was actually swung in a straight line. It flew up and down like a dancing spear. Although the speed wasn't particularly fast, he didn't have any dantian chi. As Zhang Ye swung, the rope spear was twisted like a fried dough twist. "Open!" Zhang Ye suddenly roared and leaped forward. The rope spear pierced through the wooden plank. The twisted rope spear quickly straightened and splashed with water. It was a violent assault. At this moment, Lin Jun felt an aura from Zhang Ye. His body had already become one with the rope spear. It was as if the rope spear in his hand was some kind of divine weapon and the wooden plank was like tofu. It couldn't stop his attack at all. At this moment, Lin Jun actually had the absurd thought that he definitely couldn't block Zhang Ye's spear. Pooh! Under Lin Jun's astonished gaze, the rope spear pierced through the wooden plank that was more than 10 centimeters thick. You really did it? How is this possible? Lin Jun hurriedly ran over and carefully looked at the rope spear and wooden plank. He realized that the rope was still rope, but the wooden plank was pierced through. If Lin Jun infused his astral power and metal chi, not to mention wooden plank, he could even pierce through a steel plate. However, Zhang Ye didn't have any astral power. After trying the rope spear today, Lin Jun originally came to the conclusion that the rope spear couldn't pierce through the wooden plank because of the quality of the material. But obviously, he was wrong. The aura that Zhang Ye released just now made Lin Jun incomparably shocked. What he did now could only be described as a miracle. Zhang Ye said to Lin Jun seriously, "Chun Fan, this is my understanding of the spear. No matter what kind of spear you're holding, as long as you think it is a spear, then it should be able to unleash its full power. The rope spear is just a smokescreen. The real technique is in your heart." In my heart, Lin Jun was stunned. That's right. I call this understanding invincible. This is Zhang Ye's battle technique. Speaking of this, Zhang Ye was still a little proud. In the past, I used this technique to defeat a level 1 warlord. That kid looked down on my attack, but I defeated him with a single spear strike. Invincible. Yes, I think the real essence of the spear is invincible. No matter what is in front of you, you should be able to break it with a single spear strike and move forward with indomitable will. Remember, don't be distracted by anything. Don't think that the thing in your hand is just a rope, and don't practice with other spears because those are metal spears. Of course, they can pierce through wooden planks. If you want to succeed, use this rope spear to practice. There are 2 important points. One is that the rope needs to be rotated to increase the strength of the attack. The other is that the rope needs to be soaked to increase its mass. If you can achieve these 2 points, and with your state of mind, when you can pierce through wooden planks with a rope spear, your invincible will be considered a small success. Zhang Ye paused for a second. In fact, in theory, if the rope spear doesn't need to be soaked or rotated, there's a possibility that it can pierce through a steel plate. At that time, it will be considered a large success. However, I don't have any hope of achieving it. As for you, looking at Lin Jun, Zhang Ye shook his head. Unfortunately, you are not a martial artist. I'm afraid you can't do it. Lin Jun smiled. It's okay if I can't do it. At least I have something to think about. Well, from tomorrow onwards, you'll come to the gym every day. It's best to rent a single room to practice with the rope spear. If everything goes well, I estimate that you might be able to pierce through thinner wooden planks in a year. Chapter 343. The next morning, Lin Jun arrived at the gym early in the morning. He went to the front desk and rented a single room, which was right next to Zhang Ye's equipment room. Actually, they weren't even next to each other, as the 2 rooms were connected. This way, it would be easier for him to learn from Zhang Ye. Lin Jun closed the door to the room. There was a rope gun, wooden planks, and a basin of water in the room. They were all prepared for Lin Jun. Following Zhang Ye's instructions, he soaked the rope gun in water and tried to attack the wooden planks. He twisted the rope gun into a fried dough twist and stabbed it out. The rope gun hit the wooden planks in a crooked manner. Although it didn't pierce through, it was much easier to use. Lin Jun's spear was faster than the previous one. His plan was very clear. He had to master the rope's gun technique in the shortest time possible and make his movements flawless. As for the state of mind, that would depend on luck. First, he had to do the movements well. Zhang Yi said that Lin Jun would need a year to master Unstoppable, but he didn't know what kind of speed Lin Jun had. Without using astral power, Lin Jun could use his body's strength to attack hundreds of times per second. The soundproofing in the room was quite good. The continuous attacks made the wooden planks tremble. If I didn't have a rope in my hand, but a wooden spear with this speed, I could definitely pierce through the wooden planks easily. But I have to use the rope as a spear. Otherwise, I won't be able to master Unstoppable. Lin Jun's mind was focused. He couldn't even feel the passage of time. Only when the rope was about to dry would he continue attacking. Pa! The straight spear stabbed out again, leaving a shallow dent in the wooden planks. Finally, there's some effect, but it's only because my speed is too fast and my strength is too great. Looking at the time, Lin Jun realized that 2 hours had passed. The rope gun in his hand was dry again. He threw it into the basin of water and rested in the room. After resting, he picked up the rope gun and started training again. 3 days passed. On the evening of the 3rd day, Lin Jun finally stopped training. I've improved quite a bit. If I attack at my fastest speed, I can even pierce through wooden planks. However, this isn't because I'm invincible. It's because the object is moving at a high speed. My movements are almost flawless. What I lack now is my state of mind. But how do I improve my mental state? How can I turn the spear in my hand into a divine weapon that can break through anything? With this thought in mind, Lin Jun walked out of the gym. As soon as he stepped out of the door, he saw a group of people gathered outside. Lin Jun saw that Zhang Ye was also watching from the crowd. What happened? Zhang Ye turned around and saw that it was Lin Jun. He sighed and said, "Anyway, it's not a good thing. The people of the Holy See are about to make their move." Only then did Lin Jun notice that people were looking at a big screen at the door. On the screen, people were bustling about as if they were setting up some kind of welcoming ceremony. Lin Jun looked at it for a while. What can this prove? It can't be. Don't you usually go online? The internet is in chaos now. The whole world is saying that the Holy See is about to make a move on Huaxia. You'll know when you see it. Lin Jun didn't turn on his phone after leaving Constantinople. This way, no one would be able to find him. However, he didn't know about the news from the outside world. When he opened it, the news that Yin Huang went to Iceland to find the ascetic was leaked. A post appeared on the Huaxia forum. The Holy See wants to conquer Huaxia. If you dare to come, you will be defeated. The post was pinned at the top. One had to know that ordinary warriors didn't have the right to pin posts, no matter who it was. Only the government could do that. In other words, this post was actually posted by the Huaxia government. The content of the post was very shocking. It was actually taken in the clouds, and the image was very clear. It should have been taken by a supermaster and then sent to the government. The government immediately pinned it at the top. The post attracted a lot of attention. The Huaxia forum was suddenly boiling. For thousands of years, Huaxia had been invaded by countless foreign races and had experienced countless failures. However, there was never a history of being conquered. Yin Huang had previously said that he wanted to conquer the East, but no one expected that he would actually put it into action. Countless Huaxia warriors followed the post, filled with anger. It seems that we have to let those bastards of the Holy See know what a real war is. I don't dare to say anything else, but the warriors of the dragon-slaying dojo in the southern city will definitely go to the northwest to attack the Holy See. Warriors of Qianfu City's Guangying Dojo apply to participate in the war. Beijing's Laifeng Dojo announces to participate in the war. Southern City's City Defense Army pledges to return if there is a war. This is too arrogant. It's right for such a sect to withdraw. Can I say that this war is probably caused by Lin Jun? Shouldn't Lin Jun stand up and say something? Maybe the war can be avoided? The person above is crazy. Did Lin Jun do anything wrong? What do you want Lin Jun to do? Pray for peace. We don't need peace that comes from praying. That's right. Besides, Lin Jun's dantian is damaged. I'm afraid it won't appear again in the future. This war still depends on the warriors of the country. The number of comments quickly exceeded 1 million and continued to rise. A large group of warriors had already set off for the Northwest Bay City in Huaxia. The Northwest Bay City was located in the northwest of Huaxia and was the closest to the Western continent. If the Holy See really wanted to conquer the East, then the war would probably start in the Northwest. The Huaxia government even had a spokesperson come out personally to confirm this, calling on the warriors to resist the Holy See's invasion. However, the Huaxia government was much more rational. They had given a strict order to the Northwest. Anyone below the quasi-star realm was not allowed to enter the Northwest. Any quasi-star realm warrior from the Holy See would be sent to their deaths if they were too weak. They couldn't ruin the future of Huaxia in this war. Of course, many people were not optimistic about the outcome of this war. The reason was none other than the Holy See's strength. In the video, the scene of the ascetic monks slaughtering the sea beasts with ease was too shocking. Huaxia was already having a hard time saving Ice City. Would they be able to fight against the ascetic monks? After this matter was exposed, many warriors had already expressed their determination to fight against the Holy See, including Jin Shichao and Shang Jin. Some people confirmed that these two were super warriors ranked second and third on the Dark Star ranking. Even the masters of various dojos, such as Yang Jinying, had joined in. For example, Luo Yun and Dongfang Jun, who were in the City of Ancient Gods, had also walked out of the City of Ancient Gods, preparing to fight against the Holy See's attack. The instructors of the Stellar Fruit Tree had also walked out of the Stellar Fruit Tree under Guomo's lead and headed to the Northwest battlefield. Even with the participation of these people, the people still did not have the confidence in their hearts. Therefore, many people were calling for super warriors like Chun Fenglai, who was known as the #1 warrior in Huaxia. Why was there no response at this time? Although Chun Fenglai didn't give a response, Jin Shichao on the Dark Star ranking gave the people an answer. Chun Fenglai was a warrior on the Heavenly Star ranking. Warriors on the Heavenly Star ranking kept each other in check and were not allowed to interfere in worldly affairs. If Chun Fenglai joined in, then the Heavenly Star ranking warriors of the Western continent would definitely join in. The ascetic monks of the Holy See had a lot of connections. If all the Heavenly Star ranking warriors were to join in, Huaxia's power would definitely be at a disadvantage. Therefore, it was best not to let the Heavenly Star ranking warriors join in this war. Once they joined in, it would definitely lead to a world war. Zhang Ye sighed to Lin Zhan. Chun Fan, although you and I both have the ambition to serve our country, I still advise you not to participate in this kind of war. You are not even a warrior, nor a soldier. What is the point of going? Are you a volunteer? I'm afraid that even cannon fodder wouldn't want someone like you. Lin Zhan smiled at Zhang Ye. Instructor Zhang, don't be so discouraged. I think your martial arts are very useful. Maybe it can shine in my hands. Zhang Ye smiled. Don't make fun of me. My martial arts are just a half-baked cat in my hands. It would only be useful in the hands of those powerful warriors. Then, Zhang Ye pointed to the phone in Lin Zhan's hand. Look at those ascetic monks. They can even kill sea monsters with a wave of their hand. How can we resist such an enemy? I think Huaxia is in big trouble this time. Lin Zhan nodded. Although Zhang Ye's level wasn't high, he had good foresight. These ascetic monks were indeed a big problem, especially now that the Heavenly Star ranking warriors couldn't participate in the war. Huaxia didn't have any advantage at all. Seeing so many familiar faces heading to the Northwest Bay City, Lin Zhan really wanted to leave for the Northwest Bay City immediately, but he couldn't right now. His Dantian Qi hadn't recovered yet. Although Lin Zhan had made all the medicine to recover his Dantian Qi in the past few days, he didn't want to recover his Dantian Qi before he mastered Invincible. He didn't want to be discovered and cause unnecessary trouble. It seemed that the most important thing now was to improve his state of mind. Standing there, Lin Zhan looked at Zhang Ye and said in a daze, Instructor Zhang, other than the spear technique, how did you comprehend Invincible? Zhang Ye thought for a moment. It was also a coincidence. When I was in the army, I was mocked for practicing the spear. In the end, I was also angry and had to fight with a warlord with a spear. However, he had a sword and a shield in his hands. In the end, I was beaten to a pulp. Later, I don't know why, but I actually pierced through his shield with my spear. That's how I achieved Invincible. Lin Zhan nodded silently. He seemed to understand something. After thinking for a moment, Lin Zhan took out a card and handed it to Zhang Ye. Instructor, I want to thank you for teaching me these past few days. Here's some pocket money. You can keep it. Why? Why are you giving me money? This is what you deserve. You taught me the essence of invincibility. This is something that can't be bought with money. I hope that you will be able to see the day when the spear skills you taught me shine brightly. Why? Are you really going to participate in the war? Maybe. If one day you see someone using this spear technique on the battlefield, that person will be me. Chapter 344. After watching Lin Jun leave, Zhang Ye returned home and told his wife about what happened today. His wife took the card that Lin Jun gave to Zhang Ye and insisted on bringing him to the ATM to swipe the card. Zhang Ye was still a little reluctant. He felt that Lin Jun should give him something in return, but he estimated that 30 or 20,000 yuan would be good enough. He was not an ordinary person who had not seen the world, so he really did not care about this amount of money. However, when they reached the ATM and entered the password written on the card, both of them were shocked by the number on the card. A 1 followed by 8 zeros. Am I seeing things? Zhang Ye rubbed his eyes and carefully counted both sides. There was indeed 100 million yuan in cash. Oh my God, how is this kid so rich? Who is he? Look at the cardholder's name. His wife's discovery was even more shocking because the cardholder's name was clearly Lin Jun. This can't be real, right? I'm not dreaming, am I? The person who taught me spear skills is actually Lin Jun? Could it be that they have the same name? The couple returned home in a daze. For a few days, they did not wake up from the huge impact of teaching Lin Jun and 100 million yuan in cash. After another night of recuperation, Lin Jun's injuries were finally healed. However, he did not return to the fitness center. Instead, he went to the warrior area in Langfang City. Lin Jun had already thought it through. If he wanted to have a breakthrough in his state of mind, then he must do it in actual combat. After arriving at the warrior area in Langfang City, there was a virtual technology museum that could provide a virtual environment for warriors to fight in. In the past 2 years, virtual environments were more popular. Many fledgling warriors did not dare to enter the wilderness directly, so they trained in virtual environments. However, the virtual technology museum's fees were higher, and there was nothing to be gained here. Unless it was a rich warrior, most people could not afford to play here. After entering the museum, Lin Jun rented a virtual room. The virtual rooms here were charged by the hour, 100,000 yuan per hour. One day's rent would be 2 million yuan. Lin Jun rented it for 2 days for 4 million yuan. This virtual room was a high-level virtual room. The environment and monsters inside could be designed by the user. Lin Jun chose the environment of the first level of the city of ancient gods. He was quite familiar with the terrain. Let's go in for 10 minutes and get a feel for it. With a flash of white light, Lin Jun appeared in the city of ancient god. The virtual environment here was based on the city of ancient god. It was exactly the same as the real world. It was hard to tell the difference between virtual and reality. Lin Jun came to the edge of the water and soaked the rope spear until it was extremely wet. An earth dragon scuttled over. Lin Jun took out his rope spear and channeled his astral power. The rope spear suddenly became as hard as iron and killed the small earth dragon in one shot. No, I can't use my astral power. It won't work. A pterosaur flew over from the sky. Lin Jun didn't use star power this time, but he instinctively attached gold chi to his spear and killed the pterosaur in one shot. It still doesn't work. I can't use elemental energy either. Then, another earth dragon appeared. Lin Jun used the 7-star blade again. Then, another earth dragon appeared. Lin Jun used the space cut again. After many times, the time was up. Lin Jun exited the virtual space. This still doesn't work. My battle instincts aren't that easy to suppress. I'll always use all kinds of methods when danger comes. If this goes on, I won't be able to comprehend this state of mind. Unless, Lin Jun bit his lips hard. Unless I don't know anything at all. Only then will I have a chance to comprehend the state of mind. Coincidences aren't that easy to come by. I'll just create an opportunity myself, as long as I'm ruthless enough to myself. Lin Jun made up his mind. He was going to carry out an extremely risky operation. Seal the Dark Star. Seal the Mind Power. Seal the Space Ring. He couldn't use the Holy Weapon, the 7-star blade, the Lightning Wings, or summon Wan. Ordinary martial artists couldn't seal their Dantian automatically, but Lin Jun could. His Dantian Chi had been sealed. As long as he separated the Dark Star from the Space Ring, his star power wouldn't be able to be released. The space ring could also be closed, but no one would be stupid enough to do so. Sealing the Dantian would take a day before it would be automatically released. Lin Jun's decision was also very dangerous. However, in order to comprehend, Lin Jun was going all out. Other than taking out the rope gun, he locked everything else in the space ring. Then he meditated on the spot. Star power flickered in his Dantian and finally returned to the dark star. Under Lin Jun's control, the space ring separated and moved on its own path. They would only reunite after a day. In other words, Lin Jun would only be able to recover his star power and open the space ring after a day. After doing all this, Lin Jun took a deep breath. Now, his strength could be said to have plummeted. In a day, his strength was equivalent to a peak rank 9 warrior, and he could only rely on his physical strength to fight. Although his experience allowed him to defeat ordinary generals without a problem, in the virtual city of Ancient God, he was undoubtedly a weakling, the weakest person. After doing all this, Lin Jun really wasn't used to feeling weak and small. After setting another 30 minutes, Lin Jun entered the virtual city of Ancient God. This time, I can't take any risks. The weakest beast on the first floor of the city of Ancient God is a rank A mutated beast. I can barely deal with a rank A beast now. I need to be careful. Lin Jun had just stood up and walked 2 steps when the head of a velociraptor popped out from the bushes beside him. Its green eyes stared at Lin Jun. Velociraptor, a rank A mutated beast, liked to travel in packs. Lin Jun gripped the rope gun in his hand and took a defensive stance. The velociraptor roared and rushed out. Lin Jun waved the rope gun in his hand and whipped it in a straight line. Bang! The velociraptor was hit and staggered to the side. Then it bit over. Lin Jun's forehead was covered in sweat. The rope gun was not very effective against this thing. Lin Jun tried to dodge to the side, but the speed of a rank A mutated beast was not so easy to dodge. One of Lin Jun's sleeves was pulled down, and a few bloody marks appeared on his arm. Stab! The rope gun danced in a circle, twisting in the air and stabbing into the velociraptor's back. Lin Jun's spear speed was pushed to the limit. It could even pierce through a real wooden plank, but when it stabbed into the velociraptor's body, it could not even pierce through its skin. Not only did it not pierce through, but it was also whipped by the velociraptor's tail. Lin Jun's body fell pathetically. The pain caused his speed to slow down. He stumbled and fought with the velociraptor, but the rope gun in his hand was not very effective, and his body was injured in many places. Fortunately, the set time was up, and he came out of the virtual environment. Lin Jun even thought that he was dead. When he exited the virtual environment, he realized that he was in the virtual space. I don't have any other choice now. Again, I don't believe that I can't kill a rank A mutated beast with my rope gun. Lin Jun took a deep breath, set the time to 15 minutes, and entered the virtual space again. This time, Lin Jun lasted a bit longer. In the end, he managed to hold on for 15 minutes. Although dying in the virtual environment would not bring harm to the real world, when fighting in the virtual environment, people would not be able to distinguish between the virtual and the real world. Therefore, Lin Jun could not let himself die. A rank mutated beast was not easy to deal with. Even the weaker war gods could not beat a rank A rank. Lin Jun, in his current state and without a weapon, would have a hard time dealing with a rank A rank. However, Lin Jun did not lack perseverance and willpower. He became more and more proficient in using the rope gun. This was the 3rd time he entered the virtual space. This time, Lin Jun lasted for 20 minutes and successfully pierced the velociraptor's skin with the rope gun. This was a huge improvement. After exiting the virtual space, Lin Jun began to recall the scene when he stabbed the velociraptor. At that time, he was already forced into a corner by the velociraptor. At the critical moment of life and death, he stabbed the velociraptor and pierced the skin in the velociraptor's mouth. At that moment, he felt that the rope gun had really become a weapon. This is the feeling. It's just that I haven't used it to the extreme yet. The impression is not deep. I still need to experiment more. After grasping a little bit of the knack, Lin Jun was extremely excited. He set the time to 20 minutes and entered the virtual space again. 2 days passed quickly. Lin Jun still did not comprehend the invincible state of mind. He rented another week's time. Because the Vatican had not made a move, Lin Jun was not in a hurry to leave immediately. If he did not stay in the virtual space for a little longer, he was afraid that he would not be able to comprehend it. Only when he forced himself into a desperate situation could he grasp that state of mind. Therefore, this time, Lin Jun directly set the time to 1 week. Either he comprehended the invincible state of mind, or he fought to his death in the virtual space. This method of fighting to live from the brink of death was indeed effective. After Lin Jun entered the virtual space, he encountered the Velociraptor again. After fighting with the Velociraptor for more than 2 hours, Lin Jun had completely forgotten that he was fighting in a virtual space. He was once again forced into a desperate situation by the Velociraptor. A large mouth bit down on Lin Jun's waist. Blood gushed out from his waist. As long as the Velociraptor exerted its strength again, he would be bitten in half. At this time, Lin Jun held a rope gun tightly with both hands. There was only one thought in his mind: kill this Velociraptor. His target was the Velociraptor's skull. If I can't kill you, the one who will die will be me. After being reborn, I vowed to set foot on the peak. How can I be killed by a beast like you? How strong is your body? How can you block my Lin Jun's attack? Die for me. A strong desire to battle surged from Lin Jun's heart. Blood rushed to his head. The rope gun suddenly became straight and stabbed fiercely at the Velociraptor's head. Pooh! A gush of Velociraptor's blood gushed into the sky. The blood splattered all over Lin Jun's body. It's done. Chapter 345. On the surface of the sea, Yin Huang was wearing the starry sky crown and a sacred equipment set. His body flew through the waves at high speed. A large group of sea monsters followed behind him. Yin Huang suddenly turned around and waved the long sword in his hand. A storm of light blades whizzed out, and the group of sea monsters behind him was cut into pieces. Blood dyed the sea red. Only a few SS-grade and quasi-SSS grade sea monsters followed him with wounds all over their bodies. Baho and the others, who had been waiting on the shore, raised their hands again. A white light fell from the clouds and vaporized them completely. Baho looked at Yin Huang in front of him and nodded with a smile. Yin Huang, your strength has finally improved by leaps and bounds. Not only has your combat ability greatly improved, but you are also about to enter the Comet stage. Yes, I am at the peak of Meteor Stage 9. Breaking through requires luck. It is definitely not that easy to advance from the Meteor stage to the Comet stage. Many people are even stuck at this step for the rest of their lives. This kind of thing cannot be rushed. Your strength will not improve in the short term unless you get the Holy Light Stone. Holy Light Stone? What is that? Look at the gem in the middle of the starry sky crown. That stone was actually inlaid later. Originally, a Holy Light Stone was inlaid there, formed by absorbing the starlight of the sun and moon. Only by inlaying the Holy Light Stone, there can the starry sky crown be considered complete. It can provide the user with a huge amount of star power. The first Holy Sun, Kite, and I broke through to the Comet stage because of the complete starry sky crown. What about the Holy Light Stone? Baho thought for a moment. When I broke through, the Holy Light Stone's power was exhausted. It automatically left the starry sky crown and disappeared into the sky. At that time, I remember that it ran in the direction of the moon. That stone needs 400 years to complete absorbing power. I have been to the moon in recent years, but I did not find it. It might have been taken away by someone else. Someone else? Would someone go to the moon to train? Of course. Warriors in the War God stage can actually train on the moon. However, it is difficult to reach the moon. You have to be at least in the meteor stage. Could it be that the Holy Light Stone is still on the moon? Yin Huang asked. No, the Holy Light Stone is on the moon, and it will accumulate energy in 400 years. When that time comes, it will naturally emit light, and it will be very conspicuous on the moon. Before that, it was just an ordinary stone. I went to the moon and couldn't find it. The only possibility is that it was taken by someone else, but I don't know who it is. Ba Qiao said with some regret. It's a pity. If you had the Holy Light Stone, the Starry Sky Crown would be complete. The complete Starry Sky Crown would be a top-grade auxiliary-type sacred tool. It could absorb the power of the stars for you to use. At that time, you would almost have an immortal body. Moreover, your strength would increase by leaps and bounds. You might even advance to the comet level. If that happened, even this old man wouldn't be your opponent. Yin Huang fell silent. If that was the case, then the Holy Light Stone must have been extremely important. Unfortunately, it was nowhere to be found. Ba Qiao comforted him. Let's not talk about this anymore. As long as you have the opportunity, you might be able to find it. Moreover, with our current strength, even if we don't have the Holy Light Stone, the East expedition won't be a problem. Yin Huang nodded. I think it's about time. Those Huaxia mobs have already gathered in the northwest base city. Let's destroy them with lightning speed. Ba Qiao gathered all the ascetics and spoke loudly to them. Everyone, our Pope has been here for a week. The results of his training are obvious to all. In order to fight for a favorable position for our sect before the true God troops arrive, our East expedition plan is imperative. We have been here for hundreds of years, and the people in the outside world have almost forgotten about us. Therefore, it's fine if we don't do anything. Once we do, we will shake the world. The ascetics all looked at Yin Huang with solemn expressions. Their eyes were clear and bright, like the stars in the night sky. Looking at the 120 powerful ascetics, Yin Huang felt waves of excitement surge through him. His strength had improved again. With the help of this group of ascetics, who in the world could stop them? Seniors, Yin Huang, won't say much. After the true God troops arrive and the church unifies the world, we will go to the stars to preach. The ascetics didn't say anything heroic. They all put their hands on their chests, showing their determination to win. Let's go. At Yin Huang's command, he was the first to rise into the air. Behind him, the ascetics all rose into the sky. More than 100 star realm experts moved at the same time, stirring up the clouds and rushing toward the continent. The next day, Yin Huang announced in Constantinople that Ba Qiao would be the inquisitor of the Holy See and that the East expedition would begin the next day. He announced in an online video that anyone who was willing to follow the church would be protected in the future. He also talked about the conflict between the East and the West continents, deliberately sowing discord between ethnic groups. Yin Huang's words were supported by the leaders of the European Union, Russia, and the United States. They also announced that they would send experts to follow Yin Huang's church on the East expedition. The leaders of these countries were followers of the church to begin with. Plus, they had conflicts with Huaxia, so they joined the East expedition without hesitation. Many people from the church also followed Yin Huang. Together with the fighters from all over the world, they quickly formed an East expedition army of 30,000 people. The armies of various countries and regions gathered in Constantinople. The scale was so vast that it shocked the world. It wasn't because of the number of people, but because of the strength of the participants. Among the 30,000 people, there were 20,000 advanced war gods, 10,000 quasi-star realm experts, and Yin Huang and 120 ascetics. Their strength was unparalleled. Facing the pressure of the church, the Chinese fighters also united like never before. Fighters of advanced war gods, and above, all left their homes and headed to the northwest headquarters city to prepare for battle. The Chinese government also made a lot of preparations. All kinds of new weapons were shipped to the northwest to strengthen the defenses of the northwest headquarters city. The defenses of the northwest headquarters city were now even stronger than the capital. Of course, people also knew that in a battle between fighters, modern weapons weren't very useful. Firstly, the people using the weapons were too weak. The fighters didn't have to charge head-on. They could easily break through the defenses of the northwest head-on. However, the atmosphere of this war stirred up the blood of the people of the country. The fighters joined the battle. Normal people didn't even stay idle. They donated money and goods and walked on the streets to oppose the church's invasion. People even threatened the church, the European Union, Russia, and the United States. If their East expedition failed, they would face the wrath of Huaxia. However, the other side wasn't moved. From their perspective, the East expedition was a sure win. The fighters on the Heavenly Star ranking kept each other in check. Who could stop the 120 ascetics? If the Heavenly Star ranking of Huaxia dared to disregard the rules and attack, then the Heavenly Star ranking of Russia, the European Union, and the United States wouldn't just stand by and watch. It was just before the new year. In a week, it would be the new year in Huaxia. First, Yin Huang gave a televised speech on this day. Our church has been established for nearly 1,000 years. More than half of the world's believers are believers. However, the Huaxian Linzhen has repeatedly provoked our church under the instructions of the higher-ups of Huaxia. He has also carried out many conspiracies. Not only did he kill or injure a large number of our faithful believers, but he also encouraged the Huaxians to withdraw from the church. The higher-ups of Huaxia and Linzhen colluded in this matter. The so-called 60 million to build the dam was a conspiracy. It was fake and deceived the people. The people of Huaxia have been deceived, but it doesn't mean that the people of the world have been deceived. The doctrine of the church is to save the world. I, Yin Huang Lucifer, am the Pope of the church. Of course, I can't just sit by and watch such a thing happen under my nose. In order to save the deceived people of Huaxia and overthrow the corrupt higher-ups of Huaxia, the church has decided to launch an East expedition against Huaxia. I'm here to warn the higher-ups of Huaxia that if you dare to collude with Lin Zhen, that warmonger, then you must have the courage to bear the wrath of our church. I'll give you 3 hours to go overseas. Otherwise, when the church's army arrives, no one will be able to resist. Yin Huang's words stirred up the blood of many of the church's diehards. They even began to create chaos in Huaxia. Huaxia had long been prepared for this kind of thing. The city defense army and the police force cooperated and killed a large number of diehards. When the country was in danger, no one was in the mood to pity these believers. Originally, there were still some believers of the church in Huaxia. After this attack, they were completely wiped out. The higher-ups of Huaxia scoffed at Yin Huang's warning and made a tough response. First of all, the ruins of the Church of Saint Sophia in Ice City had been changed into a square named after Lin Zhen. They even sculpted a bronze statue of Lin Zhen. Lin Zhen's great achievements made him known as a national hero. The higher-ups of Huaxia also made a passionate speech on TV, calling on the whole country to resist the attack of the church. Huaxia would never yield to any person or force. As for Yin Huang's attempt to distort the truth and slander Lin Zhen, it was quickly exposed. Lin Zhen's donation was based on solid evidence. It was not something that could be successfully slandered by just throwing some dirty water. However, everyone also knew that this was just an excuse that Yin Huang had found. If he did not have this excuse, he would have other excuses. As long as he wanted to conquer the East, he would definitely find an excuse. 3 hours passed in the blink of an eye. The church's army finally moved. They took aircraft and headed towards the northwest base city. Constantinople was not too far away from the northwest base city. The aircraft could reach it in an hour. Warriors from all over the country leaned against the north city wall in the northwest base city. They looked at the sky and waited for the arrival of the church's army. The oppressive atmosphere before the war made everyone's breathing become heavier. This war was not going to be easy. Even those who liked to joke were not in the mood to joke. Beep, beep, beep. The shrill air defense alarm sounded. On the military's radar, the church's army had appeared. Chapter 346. All the residents in the northern part of the base city had been evacuated. There were only soldiers and warriors within 15 miles of the base city. There were no civilians. The spaceplane of the church stopped 1,000 meters away from the city wall. Yin Huang stood on the platform of a modified spaceplane. The flag of the true god of starry sky was raised. This was their flagship. Yin Huang looked at the defense of the base city through a telescope. He sneered. "Amop, Senior Baho, how should we fight this battle? Let's just charge in and kill them all." Although Yin Huang was the Pope, he was not good at fighting a war like this. He could only ask Baho. Everyone, including the 120 ascetics, was on the flagship. Baho stood beside Yin Huang and thought for a moment. "Your Majesty, I'm afraid it's not appropriate to rush in directly. Although I believe that our strength is enough to destroy the city's defense, the Huaxia people also have many masters. Yes, many people have gathered in Huaxia, including several experts on the Dark Star list. Jin Qichao and Shang Jin are very strong. There are also Guo and the people from the Stellar Fruit Tree and many dojo masters. There are many Star State experts. They will definitely suffer some losses. Your Majesty, you forgot one thing. When a number of ants reaches a certain level, they can even bite an elephant to death. There are more than 100,000 people gathered here in Huaxia, which is almost 4 times our number. Moreover, the firepower of the city defense is not weak. The first thing we need to do is to break their city defense, or at least make them panic first. This requires our allies to charge and break through the enemy lines. Yan Huang nodded immediately. The head inquisitor is right. We will conquer other countries in the future anyway. Let them wear each other out. Baho nodded slightly. Ever since he decided to join the church, he had been thinking about the church. He did not care about the position of the head inquisitor, but he cared about the arrival of the true God army. He was going to enter the universe. When he reached that huge stage, what position could he get? There was nothing on Earth that was worth his attention. The vast universe outside was too attractive for him. That was why he worked so hard to help Yan Huang. The head inquisitor will be in charge of the details of the battle. You can give the orders directly. No, I will do the rest. Your Majesty, you will give the order for the first attack. Yan Huang nodded and took out a signal gun. His every move was captured by countless high-powered cameras and was watched by the whole world. Yan Huang did not hide anything. Since it had come to this, he also wanted the whole world to see the powerful combat power of the demonic sect. He wanted to redeem the reputation of the demonic sect that was lost in Ice City. There was also a microphone in front of him. Once he took the microphone, the loudspeaker under the aircraft would emit a loud sound that could travel more than 10 kilometers. It's already past the 3 hours I gave you, but you Huaxia people are still stubborn and want to stop the footsteps of my religion. Then don't blame the warriors of my religion for trampling all of you. History will record this great moment, and the church will live on forever. Begin. Bang. The signal gun was fired, and a flame rose hundreds of meters into the sky and exploded in the sky. Once the battle signal was sent out, Baho immediately gave the order. American troops attack. Following Baggio's order, the American troops launched the first wave of attacks. There were 10,000 soldiers in the United States, and more than 6,000 of them were the elites of the army. They were equipped with the most advanced aircraft and the most powerful firepower, and more than 3,000 were martial artists. Hundreds of aircraft charged at the first moment and opened fire. After entering the range of 1,000 meters, a dense rain of bullets from the aircraft pressed down on the walls of the Northwest Bay City. Da-da! 222. Whoosh whoosh. The Super Metal Storm was a modified weapon with high firepower. Its firing speed and range had reached a terrifying level. Even missiles could not pass through the firepower of this killing weapon. Every aircraft was equipped with a laser gun, and the concentrated laser attacks bombarded the city walls, immediately producing a green smoke. Once a person was hit by this kind of weapon, they would be instantly turned into a sieve. Smoke rose from the walls of the Northwest Bay City. However, the well-prepared city defense forces were not to be trifled with. They immediately began to fight back. This time, a Huaxia chief was personally in charge. Similarly, the anti-air cannons and laser guns began to fiercely fight back. Although the battle between the city defense forces was not as exciting as the battle between warriors, the intensity of the battle was above that of warriors. Modern weapons drew streamlined trajectories in the air, and people were constantly dying in the battle. Occasionally, a cannon of the city defense forces would be destroyed by the metal storm, and it would immediately explode on the walls, causing large flames. Countless people were covered in flames as they ran and screamed. If rescue was not done in time, they would be turned into charcoal. Even if rescue was done in time, it would be difficult to escape from large areas of burns. Their lives were destined to be miserable in the future. However, compared to the losses on the walls of the Huaxia Bay City, the American troops suffered more losses. The aircraft that attacked the walls were live targets, and they were shot to pieces by the dense artillery fire. One by one, the aircraft exploded in the air, turning into fireballs. However, the commander of the American side was not worried. Even if the first few rows of aircraft were destroyed, it was not a big deal. They had already known that this would happen. There were only 2 soldiers in each aircraft. One was the pilot, and the other was in charge of controlling the weapons. The United States could still bear such a loss, as long as the aircraft behind could get closer. The temporarily reinforced walls were blown apart by the bombardment. The laser troops were responsible for locking down the enemy's large missiles. The large missiles were basically used to deal with mutant beasts, and it was difficult for them to exert their power under the targeting of laser weapons. However, they had to be careful. Fortunately, the church did not come here to destroy the base city and did not use large missiles. Seeing the aircraft being blown to pieces, the Huaxia people at the scene and the people watching on the internet cheered. If the enemy only had such strength, the Huaxia base city would win this battle easily. However, the martial artists present were not so relaxed. And Ning held a long sword in her hand, and Zhao Xiaoman and Alice followed beside her. Seeing Zhao Xiaoman's relaxed expression, and Ning said to her, "Don't be careless. The enemy in front is just cannon fodder. When the aircraft behind get closer, it will be time for us to enter the stage." Zhao Xiaoman said to Ning, "And Ning, you're Brother Lin's girlfriend. If you don't participate in the battle, no one will blame you." Alice also said, "Yes, although Lin Zhun's Dantian Qi is destroyed, he has made such a great contribution. Crazy, you really shouldn't have come." And Ning smiled and shook her head. "No matter what Lin Zhun does, I will not shirk my duty to help the country and the people. Moreover, I believe in Lin Zhun. Something as small as his Dantian Qi being sealed is not a problem for him. He will definitely come back." Zhao Xiaoman thought for a moment. "I think so too. Brother Lin is a special person. He can always do things that others can't." Alice thought for a moment. "Crazy, you love Lin Zhun too much. If I were Lin Zhun, I would break up with Su Mingwei. She doesn't love Lin Zhun as much as you do." And Ning shook her head. "No, Yu Er's love for Lin Zhun is only more than mine. Just like how I would not leave Lin Zhun, Yu Er would make the same choice." "Lin Zhun really is the luckiest man," Alice whispered. At that moment, after sacrificing a large number of aircraft, the third wave of aircraft finally reached the top of the wall. "Metal storm, fire away." The 2 sides never stopped firing at each other. Countless metal storms focused their firepower on the incoming aircraft. But the aircraft suddenly flashed, and a layer of energy shield appeared around them. The dense firepower blasted the energy shield, and the energy shield kept changing color. The shield's energy was quickly depleted, and a few of the aircraft were destroyed. But with the help of the energy shield, more than 20 aircraft broke through the firepower blockade and reached the top of the wall. Bang! 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 The cabin door suddenly opened, and countless figures descended from the sky. These are American martial artists. Before the martial artists even reached the top of the wall, they launched a storm of attacks at the city guards on the wall. The martial artists' swords and spears, the telekinesis masters' flying knives, and powerful elemental attacks wreaked havoc on the wall. The city guards' weapons immediately lost their power against these martial artists. The martial artists were unpredictable, and it was difficult to lock onto them with firearms. The metal storm missed. As soon as the martial artists landed, the earth energy from their swords and spears swept across the wall like a storm. The thin bodies of the city guards could not withstand this attack, and corpses were instantly strewn all over the place. But their attacks could only stop here. The Huaxia martial artists, hiding below the wall, immediately came out to meet the enemy. And Ning had already tied her long hair behind her head. She raised the long sword in her hand. The opponent's martial artists have arrived. "Let's go." Zhao Xiaoman and Alice followed closely behind Ning, and a few pretty girls leaped into the air. And Ning's quasi-star realm strength was fully displayed. Her attacks were like surging waves, and her sword flashed. Under the protection of Alice and Xiaoman, she was practically invincible. She instantly carved out a bloody path. It was not just a few of them. Beside them, martial artists who had been waiting impatiently for a long time soared into the sky. Countless elemental attacks and spiritual attacks shook the space. In an instant, sword flashes flashed, and killing intent soared to the sky.